Second, let me get set up. Salute, salute, salute. What's up, everybody? This is much better, man. It's the first time I've gone live from straight YouTube without going through a streaming service in a while. Philly checking in. Connecticut in the house. Charlotte in the house. Much love to Charlotte. Damn, you know what I didn't do? I didn't put on a slow mode for the comments. So I like your glasses. I've got a bunch of different glasses. Once I realized that I had to have glasses, I went out and got 4 or 5 different pair. Void Rigger say, brother, Army veteran and ex prisoner here. Was wondering if you have any stories that involve veterans that you haven't done yet. I do. I have a video actually on a dude named Chicago. And it's crazy I should be even saying Chicago. I had a good friend have his sister went through something pretty bad in Chicago here recently, a carjacking. But I got a story on a dude named Chicago that was a vet and had done a lot of time in the service and more or less just couldn't take it when he came home. But I'm glad you said that because now you just gave me content. Cecil Velez, have you been locked up with anybody from Bridgeport, Connecticut, or Connecticut? Back when I first got to Greensville, they had moved a whole bunch of. We had a contract. Virginia had a contract with Connecticut to bring a whole bunch of their inmates here for whatever reason. Um, so yeah, I was locked up with a lot of Connecticut dudes, but the chances of me knowing somebody that like one of your loved ones or family members is slim to none. I don't even for real, I didn't even rock with them dudes like that. As soon as I got there, they were weeding them out and getting them back to Connecticut. So I didn't get a chance to really kick it with any of them. Martin Blank, AJ, any favorite authors? You strike me as a reader. Um, I used to read. I spent a lot of my time reading when I was locked up. Reading's one of the ways you could take yourself up out of there till you get to prison. Once you get to prison, you got a TV and all the luxuries of not being in jail no more. Like you got to remember, prison's long term. The prison's meant for people to just settle in and live the rest of their lives there. So you have TV and whatnot. But in jail, I read, and it's going to sound cliche, but I like horror novels. Dean Koontz, of course, Stephen King. I think all the Stephen King books are better than the movies. I've yet to see one Stephen King movie that outdid the book. Then the typical James Patterson, stuff like that. Have you read it? I have read it. And if you've read it, then you know the end of the book is it's weird. It's nothing like the movie when all the little kids are in the tunnel and pretty much they have to. I think I talked about this before. Pretty much all the little boys ended up sleeping with the girl. That was the end of the It book. He said, I like what he said, Sean Dean. I like the flat bill, but it don't be sitting right on my particular head. No, it's not for everybody. I've got a round ass head. Like I've got a perfect head for being bald. So fit is too good with me. He said, "Wait, what was the ending?" Lavillay said, and if you read the book, they needed, I guess it was like a sign of like pure love. And in the book, all these little boys are in love with this girl, right? Like they're all infatuated with her. So she legitly like went down the line. That was the end of it. Read the book. What up, Jay? Hope all has been good. You've seen those recent prison videos where things pop off lately. There was a video of a dude getting poked while handcuffed to the table in the pod. That's an older. That was actually three dudes getting poked up by one inmate. That's an older video. Yeah, she had them lined up. YouTube, look, let's get to the thumbnail, right? I don't watch a lot of YouTube. I just don't. If I'm on here, I'm on here. If I'm not, I'm not. But I don't watch a lot of YouTube, and there's a reason. It's gotten to a point now where like it's just a clown show. It's become an entire clown show, and I'm not with it. Sometimes you can't do nothing but laugh. Sometimes it's sad, and that's not just with the genre I'm in. That's just in the genres in general. Killian Titan, salute to you, and hope your son has a speedy recovery. We're gonna get into that. Thank you, man. It's just it's become a clown show, and let's be real with it, right? Because a lot of dudes won't. When you do YouTube full time, this becomes your job. This is your job. This is my job, right? But I'm not gonna get on here and play myself or clown myself to appease people. And a lot of people that do it aren't even really making money with it. That's the crazy part. Is that you're selling yourself for free. You're selling yourself for free. At the end of the day, I've still got to look to people that know me in their eyes. I've still got to be able to hold my head high. I'm still gonna maintain my respect, but that shit is going out the window fast with YouTube. Fast with YouTube. Has Bill Feasy told you the identity of evil folks, aka Chucky Dog? Come on, if he had told me that, or if I do know, do you think I'm gonna get on here and say that? Nah. And Feasy's my guy, man. For y'all that don't know, Feasy's a real one. When I first got locked up, I wasn't down long, and boom, I looked on the kiosk and there Feasy was. What's up, bro? You good? I heard you got knocked. You need anything? Um, if you do, just let me know. Everybody says they miss you. And from that, we just talked about life, man. Feast is a good ass dude. Shout out to Sun Wong Kong, Brody out here in New Zealand. Man of Universe. Yo, Jay, I made some fan art for you that you might like. Where can I send it? Hit me on Instagram at Jay Williams Let's Live Life, or the same thing on TikTok. Or you can hit my email, Jay Let's Live Life, all one word at gmail.com. No smoking tonight. No, I smoked earlier. I smoked earlier and passed out. My son's been lounging, right? Let me get into that. Let me get into that. I'm gonna grab this camera holder, man, for a little minute. Let me grab this camera holder for the one time. All right. Put on Do Not Disturb. So my son's at school, right? Tuesday. HR paper stacks. Happy Saturday, Jay. Praying for a speedy recovery for Noah. Hey, thank you, man. Get a call. It's like 1 o'clock, and it's his teacher. And his teacher goes on, and she says, She says Noah hurt himself, right? So immediately I say, put my son on the phone. Let me talk to my son. He gets on the phone and he's crying. I said, what's up with you? He said, Dad, I'm hurt. I said, are you hurt or are you hurt? And he said, Dad, I'm hurt. I said, all right, what happened? He said, I was on swings and I flipped off backwards and I came down on my arm. Now look how big my eyes look. He said, I came down on my arm and my arm hurts. I said, you all right? You need me to come get you? He said, no, Dad, I need you to come get me. So I head to his school and I pick him up. I pick him up. I tell the teacher, grab my little girl. She grabs her, grabs him. He gets in the car. You know how kids are. Sometimes kids just, they want to get out of school or they want attention. So he gets in the car. I'm like, let me see your arm. He gets in the back seat. I'm standing outside the car, reaching the car. I'm like, let me see your arm. I touch his arm. He's like, ah, it hurts. And I said, look, be honest with me. Are you hurt? Like, or do you just not want to be in school today? Like, don't have me doing all this and you're just trying to get out of school. He says, nah, Dad, I'm hurt. I said, you feel like you need to go to the doctor? Yeah, Dad, we got to go to the hospital. So I said, all right. So I take him to the hospital. I go to our primary care, well, across from our primary care, it's like an emergency place. I take him in there. They x-ray him and they're like, yeah, it's broke. He broke it. So, I was talking to Woody about this today. You have two bones on your arm. You have a bone here and there's a bone here. He cracked this one. If there wasn't two bones, it would be a complete break. But he cracked this one all the way through, and the other one's still holding on. So he's in all types of pain, right? So over the next few days, I had to go to orthopedic this, orthopedic that, and then they put this cast on it, but it's not like the regular cast you used to. This is more like it's like a nylon black thing that's hard, and it's got these like plastic, really tight plastic strings that run through it, and you crank the top, and it tightens it, and then you can click it, pop it, and slide it off so he can clean his arm. So that's been going on. That has been my entire week, and they don't give people really, unless you're coming for like a gunshot wound or something, or you're cut up. They're not really giving you nothing for pain. People have messed that up. Just to y'all know that whole fiasco with the pills and all, and people being addicted. So you get hurt now, you pretty much leave out with nothing, right? So he's been taking the stuff he can take, Motrin, Benadryl, stuff for kids. So he's been home with Dad all week. He's upstairs right now on the couch watching TV. We was in the bed earlier. We threw on a show, and both of us passed out. Me, him, my little girl, my wife. We was all knocked out. Is this snitching if while I'm getting arrested for stealing a credit card, I asked the police while crying to speak with DCI about a drug case? I don't know. I don't know what that's about, man. I don't know what that's about. I don't. I don't say anything. If you go through anything that's got to do with me in the past, I learned at a young age. I don't give statements. I don't even. We don't talk to the police over here. If you got me locked up, you got me in handcuffs. All right, cool. You got me. But you're not who I ever need to speak to. You know who I need to speak to? My lawyer. They tell you, here's the dumbest shit ever, right? Here's how dumb we are. Do you understand the rights that I've just read to you? Yes. Do you understand that what I'm saying can and will be used against you in a court of law? Can and will be used against you in a court of law? Yes, I understand. Would you like to speak to me? Yes. What? No. No, hell no. No, your job, you want me to go to jail and you want to keep me in jail. Now you want me to talk to you so you can go tell the people what I just, no. No, my advice for whoever that is and whatever they got going on, man, anytime you come in contact with the police, let your lawyer do the talking. Let your lawyer, it's what they're for. And they're people, you better understand it. You better know it. Lawyers are the biggest liars you ever meet in your life. They are the biggest liars you will ever meet in your life. So don't get up there and try to lie. If you're going to lie, hire a professional liar. Get a lawyer. Even if really innocent, yes, still hire a lawyer. You think the innocent people that told the police I was innocent, you think the cops try to help prove they were innocent in court? Hell no. The cops who helped put them away. If you were in there being questioned by the police, like innocent, not innocent, and you're a suspect in something, you want a lawyer, especially if you're a suspect. Jack Boy said, "With the next video, Jade, $2 to ask, need to know." Well, tomorrow we have we're going to there's a big barbecue we're going to, so it'll be Monday. As long as my son's back at school Monday and he's not in pain, it'll be Monday. I I was in the middle of a video. I think I was like 40 minutes into this video when I got called Tuesday to go to the school. So that's just sitting on the back burner. I may pick up where I left off on it. So if I do, you'll see me in two different outfits, or I might just start over. Right. Joey said if you have to ask the snitching, you're wrong. You already know you're wrong. What's the Outer Branson? What's the most romantic thing a booty bandit did? Not romantic about them dudes, man. The dudes are predators. They not looking. They shit. They all types of romantic with them dudes up until they till that moment comes. All right, let me read this. Sun Wukong said, "I run my own martial arts school out here, and I'm interested to know if you ever ran into or observed anyone using martial arts to defend themselves or wreck when you were locked up." Martial arts, I don't know if you consider it, I mean, it is martial arts. It's more MMA style type shit these days, man. Like we had a dude, Dove. Dove had signed with when it was actually before it went to the UFC, the old MMA brand. He had signed with them, and it was all over the prison about this dude, right? He had this $100,000 contract, sign on bonus he had got, and he was supposed to start like really, doing these fights. Well, something happens. He gets caught up in some type of domestic shit, and he ends up killing his girlfriend. And yeah, man, they laid Dove down. They gave him a shitload of time. But I remember, dude, he would spar with a lot of different dudes, right? You would always see him sparring. That shit's a big deterrent. It's kind of like when somebody's loud and yelling and screaming, they scare you with a scare tactic. Dudes will do that shit with that sparring shit too. They'll get out there and show the average guy that's just walking the track, watching them like, damn, dude's a beast. He'll beat the shit out of somebody. But he got into it with another dude. I'm not gonna say his name. It's my homeboy, man. He's still locked up. He got into it with another dude behind sparring. Like he did something. He hit my homeboy in the face, and my homeboy was like that, and they went at it. And when I mean went at it, it's a different type of fight when you watch two trained fighters fight, opposed to just two street dudes. So yeah, I've seen it. Angel Cadino, how you deal with the kid that is trying to bully your son in the neighborhood? They're both 10 toes down, but I don't know if I should say something or let it play out. They're only 8 and 10. You need to talk to your son about it. That's what you need to know, man. You need to talk to your son. If your son's now, I'm gonna give you not the advice that I was given on how we were treated. We were kids. It wasn't like that. If you had a problem with somebody outside, it was get outside and go handle it. You know what I mean? Like you were gonna go outside and go catch that wreck. Wasn't no coming in the house talking about I'm being chased or I'm being bullied. There wasn't no such thing as being bullied back in the 80s. It just wasn't. It was either you're gonna go fight or your ass is, you'll you'll get called some names, right? But my advice to you is you know your son better than anybody else. Is your son the type of kid that's gonna stand up for himself? And if not, then it's your job as a father to protect your child. I'm not telling you to make your child soft, but you ain't about to do nothing to mine. I'm not about to let nobody do nothing to mine. 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, and I'm not being overprotective. But in the moment he says, "Dad, I need you to step in," I'm gonna step in. So you need to find out from him. Is it time for you to step in or not, or can he handle this on his own? There ain't nothing wrong with a little scuffle, a little knuckle up here and there to, just to let yourself know you can defend yourself. But you, at the same time, you need to know that your kid needs to know that if he needs you, you're there. Tiffany Sparks says you should talk about the difference between county jails and prisons and what should be expected from each. Also, it's Real One's birthday. Give me a shout out. Tiffany Sparks say happy birthday, man. Much love to you. Happy birthday. County jails and prisons are two different worlds. They're two different worlds. You see more fighting in the county jails than you're gonna see anywhere. And that's because at that point, a lot of these guys haven't gotten their time yet. They're still fighting cases, right? So you don't have good time. So if you dust this dude off and you go to court next week and you beat your case, you're still going home on that day, right? Opposed to when you're in prison, you catch a case for fighting, you're going to spend more time in prison. They're going to take some of your good time. So your release date's going to change when you get caught fighting, right? Everything about it. Food is more expensive. Like the commissary is more expensive in jail. There's a lot less privacy, a lot more ignorance. Because for a lot of these guys, their first time locked up, they've never been locked up. They don't know the rules. They don't know the ins and outs of being locked up. Opposed to when you get to prison, dudes have already been through all this. They know don't piss on the toilet seat. Don't spit in the sink. Like, you're a little more seasoned by the time you get to prison. But the thing with prison is, like I told you, in the jail, you got guys that are getting ready to go home, so they don't care about catching wreck. Prison, you got guys that ain't never going home, so they don't care about catching a body. It's just, you see guys constantly leaving when you're in jail. I remember there was times at Greensville where it felt like I hadn't seen nobody leave in a long time. Then you get to some camps where people are leaving daily. Joey Finger said Jay was fighting as a kid in the front yard, not by choice. Respect. Yeah, look, I'm gonna tell y'all a story, right? I was, and this ain't boasting. This is just childhood shit. It's the stuff that makes us who we are. I was 10. It was the summer of 1990, and we're riding a school bus, right? And I have two sisters and I have a brother. I'm the oldest, but my oldest sister of the two had a mouth when she was young. Like, God, that girl had a mouth. So we're on the school bus and we're a good ways away from our stop, like literally probably about a mile from our stop. And my sister's running her mouth to this kid, and he smacks her with his backpack, right? So before I even knew, like the zipper on the backpack cut the side of her face. Before I even knew she was cut, I seen him smack her with the backpack. He's a much bigger kid than me, right? Kid named Earl. I'm on Earl's ass. And mind you, I said this is a much bigger kid. He's like a Samoan kid. Like, just a bigger kid. Big ass kid. Big ass blockhead. So I'm on Earl's ass. And it just so happened he was getting off the bus as he smacked her with the backpack. And he was trying to go down the steps to get off the bus. So I dive on his ass. Boom, boom. We start wrecking outside the bus. My sister gets off the bus. Now, this is the 80s, 1990 to be exact. I think school bus drivers were still smoking at this point, right? So bus driver, once you're off the bus, she's got stops to meet. She'll tell school about this when she gets there. So now my sister's off the bus. I'm off the bus, and me and this kid Earl are fighting right in front of where he lived in the gravel. We're wrecking. We're going at it. Bus driver pulls off and leaves. My sister stands by and she watches this fight, right? And it gets gritty. This is a big boy I'm fighting, and I'm young. So I end up getting the best of him. And I'm one of them dudes, I ain't no such thing as a fair fight. I'll bite your ass, I'll eye gouge, I'll do whatever. Yeah, you gonna get up off me, and I don't care. There ain't no rules to this. We ain't in no cage. I'm gonna hurt you. So this kid gets on me, and he does. You gotta remember, we were young. He does some crazy shit. I've got him, and I'm pinging his ass. Bing, bing, bing. He reaches down and grabs nuts. Just grabs my nuts, right? And grips. What the hell was going on with this kid, right? I don't know what his family must have told him something crazy. So by this point, all the fight in me goes out because now I'm focused on that. So I grab a hold of him by like the side of his face and I'll pull him down and I'll bite him. I'm 10. I bite the shit out of him and he starts screaming and he's trying to pull away from me and I won't let go and I'm biting him on his chest, right? 10 years old. So eventually, his dad comes out. His dad hears us out there fighting. My sister screaming. She's probably like 7 at the time. And his dad pulls us apart. Well, as he's pulling us apart, I don't know if he caught me with an elbow or punch or whatever, but he caught me and he blacked my eye. Up until then, I was good as far as marks go. So now we've got this long ass walk to get all the way back home. I'm talking, it's a hike. And I just got finished fighting. I'm dirty, I'm sweating, I'm all scuffed up. We're in the gravel, some elbows and shit all beat up, knees are beat up. So me and my sister, that's when I realized her face is cut. I didn't know prior to that. She's crying, her hair's all disheveled and whatnot. I walk over and I see her face and it makes me angry all over again. But the fight's over, the kid's gone in the house. So we're walking, it's my little sister. I put my arm around her, I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, are you okay? And I've got this kid's blood on me. When I'm telling you I bit him, this ain't like a bite mark. Like I bit him to the point he was bleeding and it was on me, right? So we walk home. I tell her, I said, don't, my dad was crazy, crazy abusive. So I said, don't tell dad about this, right? We go in the house and I know I go in the bathroom. That's when I see my eyes black. And I'm like, oh my God, if my dad sees this black eye, he ain't trying to hear nothing. Like, I lost. Automatically, if you got a black eye in my house, you lost. So I go to my room. My thing when I used to get in trouble is I thought that like going to my room and turning my lights off would make everything better, right? It'd just go away. So I go to my room, I turn the lights off. By now it's like 4 o'clock, 4:30. My dad comes in. He would usually get in about 4:30, 5 o'clock. My sister tells him what happened. He calls me. I hear him yell. I don't come out. He yells again. I come on out, come in the living room. I try to keep my head turned sideways. He sees my eye. Let me see your eye. And this is to tell you the difference in parents today and back then. And he just was a bad person. Anyways, beside the fact. Let me see your eye. And I show him. So you got whooped on today. I said, nah, he ain't whooped me, Dad. He ain't whooped me. I took care of it. He put his hands on my sister. I took care of it. I dove off the bus on him. We was fighting on the bus. It ended off the bus. His dad pulled us apart. His dad pulled you apart. I said, yeah. He said, what was happening when his dad pulled you apart? I said, I was winning. He said, so his dad put his hands on you. I said, and I already know where he's going with this. I said, no, he didn't put his hands on me, but he tore us apart because I was biting him. You were biting him. You got these. You ain't got to bite nobody. What you bite? Wow, he goes into whooping on me, right? Get in the truck. Oh, shit. Not this, man. Get in the truck. I'm not even going to ask where we're going because he's going to tell me. He's going to ask me to tell him where this happened, right? Where this happened at? By now, he's done kicked my ass. I tell him where it happened at. We drive there, right? And this is one of those awkward drives in that old truck with that tough ass bench in the front. And we're driving, and now I've been crying. He's done kicked my ass, right? We pull up, and my dad goes and he knocks on the door. Boom, and he's got me beside him. I still got his kid's blood on my shirt. I ain't changed the shirt, none of that. He knocks on his kid's door. Boom, 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 boom. His dad comes to the door, right? My pops didn't play about nothing. Nothing. Like, and he kept that thing in the truck, so I act stupid. Where's your son at? Not, hey, how you doing? Our kids got to fighting. Where's your son at? Why, what's going on? Well, they got to fighting early. From what I hear, the fight ain't over. Send him out here. And the dad said something. I remember my dad telling him, well, here's what's going to happen. You going to send your son outside to fight my son, or you going to come outside and I'm going to beat you up, and then my son's going to beat your son up. What's going to happen? Remember, this kid is bigger than me. So that's exactly what it goes to. His dad, I guess, looks at my dad like, yeah, I'm not trying to do all that. Earl, come here. He comes out. What happened today? My dad said, I'm not interested in what happened today. I already know what happened. I talked to my kids. Ain't nothing else to talk about. We did all that, right? That's already been done. I'm sure y'all talk. We're not talking. We're not here to talk. So he comes out and we go at it again. We rumble, we rumble, we rumble. And I know that if I lose, I've got to go fight him. You know, I got to fight my dad if I lose. I'm a 10-year-old, dirty, blonde-haired little boy, right? Losing ain't an option right now. So we rumble, and then the dude's dad is like, all right, that's enough, that's enough, that's enough. And I see my dad turn around and charge at him, and the dude goes back in the house. He's like, I'll tell you when it's enough, right? And eventually my dad said, you got him. That's enough. And we get in the truck and we leave. That was the That was the mindset of us growing up. I think that's why our generation is so much different. I think we were the last real. When I say real generation, it's no disrespect to anybody born after the '80s, but the '80s were just different. They were just different. Like, call the police and tell them your parents just, my dad just beat me. Call the cops. You know what the cops gonna say when he gets there? Well, what'd you do? Huh. They victim blaming. What'd you do? It ain't no you're going to jail for disciplining your child. And that's another reason why you got so many children these days that are doing shit that's unheard of. Because there was never no discipline in the house. We didn't have all this stuff that I ain't gonna say we didn't have it, but not to the scale that it's at now. Because we still had that belt to ass mentality. Let me get back into these comments, man. Well, the '90s babies grew up like that too. If you grew up in the '90s, you grew up in a different world. Somebody said I'm a '90s baby, and I grew up like that. If you grew up in the '90s, it was a different world. But you got to remember, like I was born February 5th, 1980. Barely missed '79. That shit sounds like forever ago. February 5th, 1980. So I came up, and I'm talking the last real generation of shit really being real. I'm talking about. I remember the teacher having an ashtray on her desk. I remember the bus driver chain smoking cigarettes with a radio in the floor with D batteries in it playing. When you could still, be a kid. when secondhand lung smoke wasn't a thing, like I remember a kid stealing the teacher's cigarettes one time and getting a whole class in trouble. They came in looking and never found the cigarettes. If that shit happened today, it'd be oh man, it should make the news. Little kids getting cigarettes from a teacher. That's what the headlines would read. Aries Hyper, I'm a '78 baby. We raised ourselves. Tell them, tell them. It wasn't no when mama gets home, we're gonna have this, we're gonna have that, we're gonna have hot pockets. No, no. I remember being in the kitchen scrambling eggs. 8, 9 years old. I remember, like we could really cook. It didn't have a million options. But let me take that back. That's kind of a lie because I ate a million and one chicken pot pies. Y'all ate them chicken pot pies too. Came in that little dusty ass carton. Didn't have no type of plastic on it. Could sit in the refrigerator in a piece of cardboard and be good to eat for 3 years. Like we ate a shit, and them chicken pot pies used to be like what, like five for $1. I remember our freezer being loaded with them things. So we smoked in the school's bathroom. Facts. Brad Lisa said, I was born in 1967. My daddy was the strongest, baddest mother. He raised a crazy little girl. All he wanted was a daughter that wasn't a winner. Okay, game on. Just a different time. Like I said, bullying became, I don't know when like the whole bullying thing became such, I'm not going to say big deal because it is a big deal, but it became such a way to, I don't even want to word this wrong. Let me put it like this. A lot of that stuff falls back on parents. That fight at 10 years old, and that wouldn't be the first or the last that went down like that, molded me for the shit that I would go through in life. Parents now have gotten soft. They've gotten soft. No, you don't want to see your kid get hurt. You don't want to see your kid get into a fight. But what you really don't want to happen is you not ever do anything, your kid not know how to fight, it pop off one day and your kid really get hurt. I think at the moment that I realized getting punched don't hurt that bad, if that makes sense, it took a lot of my fears away. Once I realized there's nothing you can do to me that I can't do to you first, it took a lot of my fears away. Bri said, Joe J being a part of my life where I need to hear things like this. I really love the show. Been rocking since I was 16, 20 now. Much love from Big Urban in Texas. 4 years deep. Hey, much love and salute to you, bro. Much love to Texas too. Y'all got the biggest. Y'all state is crazy. Every time we go west, we drive through Texas, and I swear it feels like between Texas and Wyoming, it feels like I'm just there forever. I remember driving through Texas, and when the sun goes down, I don't know what part of Texas we were at, but it just looked like something out of a western. I would look to my right, and all I would see was like plateaus and dust and railroad tracks. Keep driving, I see the sun coming up, and I look to my right, and all I see is dust, plateaus, and railroad tracks. Like the shit you see in the movies. Like, still ain't out of Texas. I don't know if it's my eyes looking this big or the shadows. Oh, it's the shadows. Kicking it with chaos said bullying is worse these days, and you're absolutely right. It comes down to the parents, right? Quick story: my oldest son, and if you're watching, man, shout out to him. My oldest son, he's probably 16 at the time. He's got issues with this kid at school. He comes home. He goes and talks to my wife about it because he knows, like, I'm not about to let you get the easy way out. If you're looking for somebody to tell you we're gonna move, you're gonna switch schools and all that, I'm not that dad. So he goes to my wife, and I overhear the conversation. I go in the room. I said, "What's going on?" She's like, "He's having problems with his kid at school." And so I sat down in the bed. I said, "Let's talk about it. What you got going on, man?" He said, "Well, it's this kid at school. Every time I pass him, he likes to run his mouth, man. He's always saying this and saying that." I said, "Has he put his hands on you?" He said, "No, but he bucks at me like he's going to." I said, "All right, well, we're gonna figure this out." And he's like, "No, Dad, I just got to move schools, right?" Hold on. What did you just say to me? I need to move schools, Dad. I got to go to a different school. Nah, nah. This ain't going down like that. Well, why? I said, because as your dad, I can't teach you that it's okay to run from people in life. If I tell you it's okay to run from everything that you're scared of or everything that makes you uncomfortable, I have failed you. If I tell you it's okay just to tuck tail and run every time you run into a bully, I have failed you. You are gonna run into bullies in the workplace. It could be your neighbor. It could be a dude at the food line, Walmart, whatever. You're gonna have to learn to stand up for yourself. I cannot condone you running away from a situation. But Dad, I'm not like you. I said, I'm not asking you to be like me. The last thing I want you to do is be like me. I want you to be you, but you have to stand up for you. I said, look, man, a lot of times kids like that bully other people, they got stuff going on inside of themselves, or they got something going on at home, or they got a bully in their life nobody knows about. I said, you know why bullies like that thrive? They live off of fear, and they can see it in you. I said, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to school. Nah, Dad, I'm not. I said, yes, you are. You listen to me. You're going to go to school. I said, now I give you permission to do anything that when it comes to your hands and your feet, whatever you got to do. You got to headbutt him in his nose. You do what you do. And you've got my permission. I'll come to school and snap out for you. I'm going to put on for you. Believe me. But I tell him, I said, the next time this kid says or does anything to you, I don't care where you're at, who's around, you drop your backpack and you check him. Just boom. Hit him with everything you got with your palms right in his chest. I said, I'm telling you, the moment you do that, whether you realize it or not, because you've never done this, it's going to put you straight into fight mode. It's not going to turn you into Bruce Lee or no shit like that. But the moment you make contact with him, boom, you check him and let him know shit's real and say, what's up to him? And he stumbles back. He's got one or two options at that point. Either the fear of what just happened is going to take over or he's going to go into fight mode. But you're already there. Dad, I said, trust me. So he goes to school, comes home. Anything happened today? Nope. Anything happened today? Nope. And he comes home one day. Dad, as soon as he comes in, Dad, I need to talk to you. I'm like, all right, what's going on? By now, it's been like 3 or 4 days, so I think the situation is past. It happened. I said, what happened? He said, me and this kid got into it in the hallway, and he was running his mouth. He said, and at first, I tried to do what I've been doing and just walk off. But then I remember what you said, and he kept running his mouth. His little buddy laughed. He said, so I said what you said. I did what you said. He said, I dropped my backpack. I turned around and boom, I shoved him. I said, what's up then? And I squared up with him. He said, when I did, he bounced against the lockers and he threw his arms up. I said, what happened then? He said he grabbed his backpack up and like walked off. I said, there you go. Nah, we're not moving. Sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. And just like that, that problem was gone. Knock knock. Hey, salute, man, and thank you. I got juice for days. What's up, Jay? Much love from Canada. Thank you for all the stories to keep me in the house instead of throwing my life out the windows. I'm not trying to see, no, I'm a little bunny. And now you got me wanting a pot pie. I ate a pot pie earlier, but it was from KFC. What happens to people in prison who try to unalive their parents? I tell people this when it comes to cases like that, you're okay until you run into somebody that has had something like that happen in their life and they take it personal. That's the honest. That's the thing people don't tell you. You could be in a cell with 60 different guys and like, what happened? You snapped out, tried to kill your parents, or you're a weirdo. Until you get in there with somebody and one night that guy loses his mom or loses his dad and he gets to dwelling on his parents and then he thinks about what you did to yours, that's when you're going to see your problems, man. Out of choice, I'm smoking that Chi-Town weed in a basement and eating gummies. Clayton said, I'm going to give me some KFC right now. We got some chicken upstairs, some biscuits, mashed potatoes, a little mac and cheese. JPen856. This is a great question, man. I got some crazy stories for this one. Jay, you ever had to deal with people not paying you when you were in business? And how to avoid with that? Yes, yes. Look, early on, I was probably 2.5 years into my construction company, right? And we remodel houses. And we're damn good at it too, right? So this guy buys this house, and I think I've talked about the house. I didn't talk about a lot of the remodeling. The dude that originally lived in the house was killed. He was sitting in his living room. He was a long haul truck driver, but messing with somebody else's wife. Dude comes up on the porch, shoots him through the living room window. He's on the couch like this. Boom. Game over, right? So of course he can't pay the bills no more. He's no longer here. So my investor buys the house. We come in, we have to deal with that cleanup. That was terrible. It was so bad. I'm not even gonna get into that. We're gonna stick to the story. So you go in the kitchen and there's a door you open and it goes to a fully finished attic. But it's a narrow ass staircase that looks like it should be a pantry. And the stairs are like this. They're not code, right? So this investor calls me. He says, look, I need some ideas on what to do. Upstairs is beautiful, but unfortunately it's very hard to get to because of this little tight, narrow closet staircase. I said, well, look, let me do this. I get to look in. I start checking the structural, seeing which walls are load bearing and whatnot. I said, I want to take out this entire ceiling. He says, okay. I said, I'm going to open the ceiling up in here, and I'm going to do a wraparound banister up top, and then I'm going to remove this wall right here where this closet is, and then I'm going to do a staircase that wraps around and comes down the wall. Looked beautiful, right? Like beautiful, beautiful work, man. You couldn't ask for better work. He loved the idea, so I tell him the price. And I gave him a great deal on the price, right? So I do the work. I got two guys with me. I do the work. Takes a little over about a week. It's a lot of work. Drywall work, repaint it, a lot of stain work, pickets, no posts, handrails, the whole nine. Some structural repair, structural work. Just doing what we do. I go to get paid, and the dude ain't answering the phone. I said, hold up. So I called somebody else that's related to him that I do work for also in the real estate game. And I said, what's up with such and such, man? He owes me a big ass check, and this dude's not answering the phone. Hold on a second. Brad Lisa sent one J. Williams Life gift membership. Hey, thank you, Brad Lisa. So I tell him and salute, thank you. Not to rush by. I said, he ain't answering my calls, man. He said, yeah, I spoke to him earlier. I said, so I need to pay my guys. What's up? Oh, he feels like that price is just too high. Come again? He said he feels like that price is too high. The price is too high. I said that's the price we agreed on, and I gave him a deal on the price that I gave him. Feels like the price is too high. I said, well, look, he ain't answering the phone for me, so here's what I'm gonna do. Because you introduced me to him. Call him and tell him I need my check, man. The work is done. We got 60 some hours invested times three on three different men. Like, I need my check. And he's acting like he's not gonna pay. Goes back, he says, yeah, he says he's just not gonna pay that. You're not gonna pay what you agreed to pay once the work is done? I said, all right, well, here's what I'm gonna do. Since you don't want to pay me, here's my idea. I said I was headed to go get the check and then go hit the bank. But since that's not what we're doing, I'm just gonna head to my house and I'm gonna get my chainsaw. And I'm gonna grab two more chainsaws. And I'm gonna give them to my guys. And we're going in. All that lumber belongs to me. It's unpaid for. I'm cutting all that lumber out. Everything I install, I'm cutting it out. I'm gonna tear it all the fuck out the house is what I'm gonna do. You can't do that. You're gonna go to jail for trespassing. I said, do you know who I am, right? Do you really think I give a shit about a trespassing charge? You're not gonna pay me. You're not gonna keep my work. I'm going to get my saw. It's gonna take me about an hour to get there. So let this dude know within the hour I'll be back at the house. I'm going to go ahead since he doesn't want to pay for the work. Take my chainsaw, let's cut everything out. We'll load it in the back of trucks. Peace, we're out. I went to the house. I got the saws. My phone is ringing as I'm headed to this job. I said, I'm not answering. I'm not playing games, right? I pull up. It's a whole different atmosphere. Not only is the dude that wouldn't answer the phone that's now been calling me standing out there, he got a bunch of big ass pizzas stacked up on the hood of his car. All these extra large pizzas, right? And my check. I told him then, I said, this is the last time we will do this with the money. It's the last time, the only time. Moving forward, if I ever had any issue with somebody as far as money came, it was the first and last time I worked for them. The last time. Eddie Brown, what's good, Jay? You got out of that jam. We missed you. I wouldn't say I got out of it, but I got it behind me. No, I got it behind me. I went and got it taken care of. What if Jake Paparoni did was timed out by Southside Frog for 86,000 seconds? They don't bother me, man. That's what makes me different than a lot of these dudes. That shit don't bother me. If you can't turn YouTube off and then go back to your real life when you're done, you got bigger problems than me, man. Frog said he's on some zesty shit. Andre Ortiz said, well, I'm new fam. He was locked up. Yeah, once or twice. Eastern My Nomad said, Jay, your stories help keep me from doing dumb shit. Because, like you say, you're not built for prison. Don't commit crimes. Not everybody. This is what I think a lot of people fail to realize, right? A lot of time, it's not the violence that's the worst part of incarceration because you're going to go through periods where there's not violence. The worst part of incarceration is not being able to leave. It's just being there all day, every day. That's the worst. That and just the emptiness, the just you know when you're hungry, your belly aches. It's almost like when you're locked up, your soul aches to be free. We're not meant to be locked up, chained up, incarcerated. Like them dogs you see at the pound. You let that dog run around. He's the most happy, go lucky dog in the world. But you put him in a cage and he's like one of those sad commercials with the in the arms of the that sad ass shit, the teardrop. It's the same thing with people. When you lock somebody up, you can see that it does something to them. And your soul just yearns to be free. And you can't. I've thought lots on this. You don't really feel it while you're in there or recognize it for what it is, but that's exactly what it is. We're meant to be free. Pause, bro. Brown said, Joe, Jay, keep staying positive, bro. So after 10 years of my job, I got hurt on workman's comp. They fired me. No. Then I got a lawyer. He said I might have a good case. Things are looking up in my life finally. Well, I hope you feel better. I hope you get better, and I hope you get what's owed to you, man. Russell Erickson. What was the dude's name you said did like a decade in the hole at a Supermax over dreads? I think Fire. His name's Fireman. You can find him. I seen pop up here and there on Instagram. I think it's like Fiyah Fire. Um, yeah, he did his whole bid, like 15 years, I think, something like that. I think, well, he had his time in his jail, but once he got the DOC, it was over 10 years he did in the hole because he would not cut them dreads. He was in the cell right next to me at one point, and I remember him going down the tier and serving trays, and his dreads had got so long that he had to wrap them like a giant beehive on top of his head to keep from dragging the floor, man. But yeah, that's dedication right there. Now they took all that out. Now you can grow your hair, you can do this, you can do that. You ever get a royal flush all them years of playing poker in prison? I couldn't tell you. Probably. Probably. I try to stay away from cards and gambling in prison. It's a quick, surefire way to get your ass jammed up. Ace Maxwell, look, I I was watching one of your older videos and you mentioned a big Dana a few times. Which story is in? I can't remember the video, but y'all asked if you watch Banky, ask Banky about Big Dana. I met Big Dana. When I say I met Big Dana, not like me and Big Dana interacted. Like what I know of Big Dana came from Greensville, and I got to talking to Banky's homeboy this time. I was locked up with Abu, and I mentioned the name Big Dana, right? Because we were just talking about different dudes we knew. I didn't know Abu prior to this bid, and he's a very good brother, man. Shout out to him. He's a lot like Banky, but me and him got to talking and realized we knew a lot of the same people. And he was telling me Big Dana became Muslim. That's crazy to me. You got to think now. This is a man that he didn't want what's in the back of your pants. He wanted what was in the front. Facts. And he would put that blade on dudes, which when I first heard it, it didn't make sense to me because I'm like, if that's not what you're into, things ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? Like you can't make that money go like this if that's not what you're into. You have to somewhat be aroused that the situation is where my mind used to go, right? But then once I heard more details and what he would, yeah. Anyways, Big Dana is now Muslim. Get away from that. Al the Pal, dude, the best Let's Live Life video had to be the fake news hit piece about you. Wasn't the holy stuff? Hell yeah. That's when one of these little troll bastards took. It was like the worst Photoshop ever, right? They took my face and I found the original clipping of the guy, right? But they took my face and they like morphed it onto this other dude's face. And this dude like had a little ear, side of his head was dented in, like literally like he was like a real life Mario Brothers and was breaking bricks with his head. And then they tried to post this fake story about me. This shit is crazy. People are whack as a bitch sometimes. About being like this PDF file, right? All the tattoos on my neck had changed. They were no longer my tattoos. Like this, and this dude's throat was cut from like side to side. Got this nasty ass scar, nasty ass people in the world, man. But I guess somebody wanted a shout out. They wanted some attention, and I was early on in the game, and they got it from me, man. Joey Finger said, "Where y'all photo? I seen it." What was crazy is in some of the comments, people was like, "I can't believe this about this guy. I watch him," and I'm reading like, "I can't believe you're that fucking dumb. You can't see that's my face stuck on somebody else's head, moron." Aaron Hall, Jay, does Banky know about Buddy Lee? I don't think so. I think Banky came in, if I remember right, when Banky showed up in the pod, it was right. Yeah, Buddy Lee was gone. Buddy Lee poked that boy at the poker table. I think they were playing Tunk. Stabbed him at the poker table with the knife tied to the end of his cane. When Banky came in, it was a whole different crowd. It was a lot of dudes I've talked about: Jingling, Will, T, Big Nate. Let me see, Scooty B, Architect, Pakistan. There's a rack of different dudes in there when Banky came. A lot of these dudes I ain't even talked to them. Jay, much respect, turning pain into purpose. What keeps you grounded on the hardest days? Remembering that the hardest days are behind me. You know what I had to learn, and I'm still learning at 45 years old, and I want you to understand this. Everything is going to be okay. No matter what the situation is in life, everything is going to be okay. It might not feel like it. You could be in the midst of losing a loved one, and it hurts like hell, and it seems like the end of the world. Fast forward 5 years from now, things aren't what they were, but everything is okay. And that's what I remind myself on my hardest days is just keep pushing, man. Everything is going to be okay. 2 months from now, whatever situation you got going on most likely won't matter because you got 10 new situations. What are these new features YouTube's got on the side? I'm scared to touch buttons. Okay. Like I said, it's the first time I've gone live. Okay, lighting. In a minute, with YouTube. Tiffany Sparks said, how do other prisoners feel about other inmates who were charged with pandering charges, receiving payment from prostitute? Oh, don't nobody care about that. Don't nobody. This is 2025, 2024. The biggest things people are worried about is anybody that messes with a child. Like, I don't want to say homicide is justifiable, but there is situations where shit gets crazy, gets out of hand, and people take somebody's life. But when it comes to a child, there's never, and I repeat, not ever, any situation that you can come up with that gives you an excuse to hurt a child, to do something to a child. Guys that prey on women. And when I mean prey on women, I'm not talking about a domestic situation, right? I'm talking about this guy that is out there driving around in his car at night looking for women, or this guy that has a history of hurting women. That's, I guess, domestic. Those are guys that are gonna have a bad time. But like the pimping and stuff like that, dudes ain't tripping on that. Hot tub is on, so y'all excuse the noise. Pluto said, how you feel about weed stopping your success? You got to smoke a lot of damn weed for weed to stop your success. John Stevens, did you meet any serial rapists in prison? No, but we did have a dude, I believe his name was Thomas Hainsworth. If you look up, and Banky knows Thomas, you look up Thomas Hainsworth, he was arrested in Richmond, Virginia a long time ago for 2 counts of, rape on a woman. 2 different women. And he was sentenced to all this time in prison, right? And I remember hearing about the dude and not wanting to work out near him, not wanting to be around him. Like, I don't want nothing to do with that dude. Keep that dude away from me, right? And he was very religious. I do remember that. The dude was very big into religion, and he had always proclaimed his innocence. And you want to talk about a shitty feeling? Like when you've treated somebody that you thought you were treating them according to how you should treat them, stay away from me, don't come around me, like, stay away from me. And then you go to find out the person is innocent, because it came out all over the news when the man it was proven that he didn't ever do anything. He was actually living in Churchill and was walking to the store he was a teenager. His mom had sent him to the store to get something, and the cops, he fit a description. They snatched him up. This is a black dude. These 2 white women said, yes, That is the man that came in my house in the middle of the night. Yes, that's him. So he went through prison when prison was like gritty. When I mean gritty, like when dudes were more likely to use a knife than use their hands. So I can imagine as a teenager what he went through when he came in. But then it came out one day that the man was innocent. So, but dudes like everyday dudes you're talking about that really did shit like that, they're not mixing them in GP. They're not putting them in GP. Just in case, I seen TV said I seen two different chomos that carried a Bible with them everywhere they went. They did. They did. A lot of times it was a red flag. And I don't wanna look down on religion or cast a bad look on religion, right? Because that's not what I'm doing. But a lot of them dudes would hide behind religion. They felt like you're not gonna punch a man in the face that's holding the Bible, no matter what he's convicted of. Or if a man's got a rosary around his neck and he's got a Bible and he says, "Peace, brother, peace," you won't punch him in his face for his crimes. That shit don't work. They'll put blood all on the pages of that Bible. Marcus Lambert, you grilling Monday, Jay? I don't know. I'm debating it. I know we're going to my friend Q's house tomorrow. Q's from New York. Shout out to him and his people, and doing all that brisket, lamb, burgers, the hot dogs, the whole nine. Plub Plub Penguin said, "Why do they protect chomos in prison? Like, why they get such low sentences?" I have a theory on it, whether it's real or not. I don't know. My thought is the dudes that make the laws, right? The people that put these laws in place and that do the sentencing and make the sentencing guidelines are way more likely to get convicted of something like that than anything else. You know, you don't hear of priests getting arrested for carjacking or priests getting arrested for, you know, whatever, gun charges, drug charges. That stuff you see everyday street dudes doing. A lot of times with these dudes that catch these crazy messed up charges against women and children, and not all the times, because there's weirdos everywhere, in every walk of life, every ethnicity, every color, there's weirdos, right? But we've seen, especially back in the 80s and 90s when these laws were enacted and the time was enacted, that people of a higher power and position sometimes were the ones that were doing this shit at the largest level. Well, they're not trying to lock them up forever. They're not. So then you get this everyday average dude that catches a charge like Epstein or somebody like that, and he gets a slap on the wrist. It's a sickening thing. I watched David Bickley, and if you're watching David Bickley, you're a piece of shit. Y'all can look up David Bickley, Orange County, Virginia. I watched David Bickley leave, right, on a civil commute. He was civilly committed, meaning they weren't letting him go home. You're too weird to go home. I know the judge said, we don't care what the judge said. We ain't about to let you back out there. The kids ain't safe. This dude, I think, was doing, if don't quote me because my mind slips me, I want to say he was doing like 2 or 3 years for his second offense against a child. And in the midst of them finding that out, they arrested this dude at a McDonald's on a bicycle. He had went there to meet with an underage girl, showed up early. This is how stupid this dude is, right? He pulls up, and they have the full police debriefing taking place in the back of the parking lot because he's like an hour early. Pedals his bike right past the police. I'm guessing he chains it up, at which point they realize our suspect is here. They send in their decoy. He makes his move. They arrested him. Dudes like that are getting 2 or 3 years. I used to slap the shit out of David Bickley. I could have a bad day. Let my visit show up late. Let me not like what happened on the phone. I'm going to go find David Bickley, and I'm going to slap the shit out of David Bickley because he deserves to be slapped the shit out for the things he done. Not to the point that you wanted him to leave because you might need to slap him again tomorrow, or I might need to, slap you tonight. So I'm not going to beat you to the point you got to leave medically. But I put hands on David Bickley more times than I can count, man. And he's just another one of those statistics, another one of them dudes that it showed you and it showed him that he could do things like this. And fast forward a little bit, he'd be back home. Meanwhile, you got guys in there that haven't hurt nobody, that didn't hurt nobody. The only real victim in their case is, whoever the property may have belonged to. They steal stuff like that. I met a dude that was doing 20 years for stolen hair clippers. 20 years for a set of clippers he stole. And David Bickley gets 3 for messing with a kid. I just can't, man. Marcus Lambert said, 30 years service plumber, Jay. I'm about to have to let a lot of it go. I mean, I'm good, but it's getting taxing. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you got something to fall back on. My biggest problem when I let the construction go was like, what do I do now? And I don't mean what do I do for work, but you're so programmed into doing the same shit every single day that you've got to refigure out your days. You got to refigure out what you're going to do. Aaron Hart, did you see any serial killers? Yes. We had a dude that was arrested in the mountains somewhere in Virginia, right? I need to look this shit up. But they've been looking for this dude. They've been finding hikers and stuff like that just completely slaughtered inside their tents. Like, very heinous, heinous shit. And they couldn't figure out a motive for why this was happening. There was no type of him messing with the woman um, before she died or after. There was nothing like that with the man. There was no real there was no real motive. There was no robbery. They couldn't figure out why this dude was doing this. And he didn't discriminate. This went for women, children, men, whatever. Well, he goes and attacks this one family that are out camping. And the little boy, I want to say it's like a 9, 10-year-old little boy, survived. And this little boy, man, it's crazy what the human body can do when you're pushed. This little boy survived this really, really heinous attack with a knife, lost both his parents, and just kind of let out in the middle of the dark walking. And I don't remember exactly how long they said he did this until he came across somebody and they found him. But he would ultimately be what led them to capture the dude that was doing this. And when they got the guy, this guy was kind of like a nomad. He had been living up in these mountains for the longest time by himself, right? No other people. And he told the people when they caught him that he felt like the campers were trespassing. And that if he did this to the first family, then people would stop coming around there. So he more or less just started taking out campers to keep people from wanting to come around there. And he said that it didn't deter them. People still continued to camp. So, yeah, a whole entire win. Like next level weirdo, man. Leah said you should do another volume on the worst people you met in prison. That list could go on and on and on because that dude right there should have 100% been on the first list. How long have I been out right now? October 27th will make a year. So right now I'm at about, I think I'm, what? Like right now I'm at like 10 months. Who was the smartest guy you knew in prison? My dude Silver Chain. That dude right there, like, I worked maintenance with Silver Chain, but aside from that, that dude was just, he was a different type of smart. You could hand this dude a TV board, like legitly out of a TV, a 12-volt adapter, and 2 pencils. We solder. Y'all don't know. I should probably do a video on this one day. We could take 2 pencils and a regular adapter you plug in the wall, pull the lines apart, wrap them around the pencil heads, and we solder with 2 pencils. But I could watch this dude take a broken electronic, take the board out of it, and just create something that's not even related to what he just pulled out the TV. I'm talking about he would make these amps and put them inside Cracker Jack boxes, right? The Cracker boxes, not Cracker Jack. He put take the TV board out of a broken TV and just take the soundboard part of it, and he would jump it out, and he would add speaker terminals. He would add this and that, a place for you to plug in the adapter, and he would take the speakers from maintenance because when they bring the TVs in the pod, the ones that hang up, they take the speakers out of them. If you ever see a movie where guys are like watching TV in the day room, you can't hear that TV. You have to have a radio. They put a transmitter in it. You'll like tune your radio to like 98.3, whatever it's set to, and then you can hear the TV playing. So we would take the speakers out in maintenance, and they was like laying in a big ass corner over there, right? There was like a box we had with all these little like 4-inch speakers. Well, he would take the cracker box and put the speaker on the outside of it and on the other outside of it, and put this amp on the inside of it that he made out of a TV board, and that shit cranked. I think I talked about this in my last live. I remember Saturday mornings mopping the cell. I'm going up front to get the mop bucket. Saturday was I always kept the cell clean. But Saturday morning, I'm moving everything out the cell, out by the door, and I'm gonna clean the entire cell. The celly's got to get out. Like, I live in here. You might not be the cleanest I am. You got to get out. So I would clean the cell, and I remember I had one of these things, and there was other times I didn't. Other people had them. I remember Saturday mornings, just whatever somebody was playing, just bumping. A lot of times it would be oldie music, some old Otis Redding, something like that, bumping throughout the pod. But yeah, he was a smart dude, man. From I want to say he's from Hopewell, Colonial Heights. You ever cross paths with anyone who was executed in VA DOC? No, but I did see where I was at in Greensville. I was in 7 building, and the pod I was in faced the hole. Well, the hole was also where they carried out all the executions. On the backside of the hole is where you'd see all the vehicles bring in the guys that have been condemned. Meet them? No. But I had legitly, I've probably seen, I want to say 12 to 15 people. Like, there's been times I've been on the rec yard and watched them bring people into the hole that you knew were going to be electrocuted. And then I watch out my window as I watch them wheel them out and put them in the back of the wagon and drive off. But like kicking it and talking to them, no, they keep them dudes at another prison called Sussex 1 all the way up until usually like 72 hours before the execution, at which point they bring them to Greensville, and that's it. That's it. They hook them up. Did you ever meet a Jeffrey Dahmer type dude in prison? I'm not gonna say. Well, there was a lot of things like Dahmer that just made Dahmer different. Here's a fun fact, right? Not a fun fact, a weird ass fact. You know the two things they didn't find in Dahmer's fridge when they found the body parts? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. Tell me some of the things they didn't find in Dahmer's fridge when they found them body parts. No Jutsu Gamer said the genitalia. Facts. Facts. Nah. He said no real food. No, they didn't find none of the, yeah. All that was gone. One of the first things he ate was, so he said hot dogs and eggs. Yeah, the wings. Yeah, that's crazy work. He said he ate dudes, Peter's just freaking wild. Yes. 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 Single mother of two. How many times have you been locked up? I don't know. I don't know. Arrested? Um, Way over 20. Locked up, like actually, like in there, not just because a lot of times you get arrested, you go in, you bail right out. I've bailed out crazy amount of times. Like I've legitly walked in, processed there 4 or 5 hours, and bailed out a ton of times. But had to sit it down and actually bid probably upwards of probably 15 times. It got to a point with me where bail was no longer an option. Once the judge gets tired of seeing you, the magistrate gets tired of seeing you, and they get to know who you are, it's like, no, I'm not giving you no bail. You need to just chill. Like, stay where you're at. We're not letting you back out. You don't act right. I will not wear these glasses again. These glasses make me look like I have questions. Marcus Lambert said, I know you make it seem like just another day in there, but man, I'm just saying I'm all the way grown and I want none of it. Agreed. Nobody should want that. But this is if you've ever done real time, when I mean real time, I'm talking years. Years. Like you had thousands of days to do. My biggest sentence was 3,650 days. It's over 10,000 meals I ate while I was in there, right? Once you get into we get what you call bid mode. Bid mode happens when you've officially let go of the outside world. Once you just kind of accepted that that's what this is, that's when you get into bid mode. That's when you're really just you're doing your time. You're doing your time. You've got more going on in here than you do out there. You focus more on what's going on around you than you do out there. I used to tell people, they'd be like, why don't you call home? I'm like, well, every time I call home, it's either bad news, it's something that when I get off this phone, that's got me all messed up in the head. I'm like, and that's not good for this. I have to focus on this to survive. I can't get off this phone in my feelings, angry, mad, snap on somebody, and they potentially put something through my chest, or I do something to one of them because I just had a bad experience on the phone. Nobody should want it. But once it's like anything, right? Say you would have crashed. Let me give you an instance. Say you were to crash in a plane, right? And you landed in the jungle. The first 6 months or a year are going to be crazy to you. You're going to hear things, see things, do things that you never thought you'd have to do because that's not the life you live, right? Somebody comes along and finds you 10 years from now, you've been in the jungle for 10 years, you're going to be more scared of the person that's finding you than you are now the jungle. You just get used to the jungle. I got used to being in prison. I know that sounds sad and I know that's some crazy shit to even say, but after you've been in there so many years, you get used to it. To the point that when I got out here, this seemed weird to me. This really seemed weird to me. And then I had to like reprogram myself. But Knuckles said, I hope you're finding your peace and keep doing your thing. I've been following you for a long time. You have so much potential for these YouTube streets. Much love. Hey, thank you, Bud Knuckles. It's a crazy name. What's your typical go-to crime or what's your preferred route? I'm not a criminal. But in those days, like when I was younger, it started out, I think, what like a lot of criminals do, man. It started out just doing what the other kids in the neighborhood did. If they were stealing car stereos and the kids I'm running with, that's what they're doing, then we're boosting stereos. You got to remember this was the early 90s. But then we realized that people bought cars. And when you take a stereo out of a car, you're talking 20, 25 bucks. Remember, this is the early 90s. And don't do this. Stay in school, get a job. Don't take other people's stuff. Don't do that. People work hard for the shit. Nobody wants nobody in the shit stealing the shit, right? But in the early 90s, then when I found out for the first time, somebody kind of put me on to somebody that would buy these cars. It was like I could spend all night taking stereos and steal 20 and I made $400. Or I could get up in this car, get this car started, get this to this person, and it's way more, right? But from there, it got into where everybody I knew was hustling. Everybody I knew was hustling. So I started hustling. And then that put me on the outside of my homeboys because rather than me kicking it with them, we can't all kick it together if we're trying to get money. Then everybody starts competing with each other. So then I found myself posted up in different areas, different spots. And my whole purpose in being there was just to sell stuff throughout the night, and make money. But from there it went to robbery. And I say this in like the utmost truth, man. I was never the dude that just robbed the everyday hardworking man. I went to bad neighborhoods and bad areas. And I guess my way of justifying what I was doing is exactly what I just said. Well, this is the hood, this is the slums. Everybody out here is up to no good. But after that first robbery, right? That's kind of where I shifted to. Because it went from why would I be out here all night hustling? It's cold, it's dark. We didn't have cell phones back then, so a lot of times you're just out there posted up, or you're on the steps sitting out front of wherever you live at. We weren't. Now everybody hustles from a cell phone, right? You can sit in your living room and a sale comes in. So after I realized that, why would I sit out here and hustle all night when I can just plot, let him hustle, and then when he's done hustling, just go rob him. That's what became my thing later on in my teen years. Was I'm just gonna start jacking dudes. And was it stupid? Yes. But when it came to being a criminal, it was definitely what paid most. But let me tell you this: when you go in front of the judge, it's what's going to get you the most time as well. They're not playing that you're running around in the streets with a pistol, you're robbing people, you're putting on masks, you're not doing all that. When your ass goes in front of the judge, they are going to paint you out to be a terrorist. They're going to say some terrible, terrible things. Your ass better, like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, man. And I look back on it, I've apologized to people I robbed. And everyday real life, I've come across people in the street since my release that I had done wrong in the past, and not knowing what the outcome was going to be when you approach them, because the last time y'all saw each other, it wasn't good. I've approached people. I approached one dude in a 7-Eleven that was putting chili and cheese on his hot dog, and he turned and looked at me, and you would have thought he'd seen a ghost. And I said, look, 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 I'm not here on look. I just wanted to say sorry, man. I'm sorry. I know what I did probably impacted your life, because this guy came to court and said that he was having nightmares. He couldn't walk in the dark at night no more. And that was my fault. I had taken that from him. I had taken something so normal from him by just being a piece of shit, that I felt the least I could do is be like, I'm sorry, man. And as far as me, you never have to worry about me again. I got juice for days. Says I was gnawing on them things like a sausage. And what's one of the most hilarious things you ever seen in the penitentiary, if you can even call it that? I've seen a lot of funny things. I think one of the funnier things I used to see, dudes would get to betting, right? They get to betting, and not everybody's got money. They just don't. So you get to arguing with somebody over some sports or something. You be like, man, put 10 donkey butts on it. What's a donkey butt? You ever see somebody turn around, grab a chair, and start popping their butt in the air? That's what we call a donkey butt, right? So somebody would bet, and you'd be like, put 10 donkey butts or ten Beyonce's. Remember that shit the Beyonce did when she snapped her finger, did that? What was the video? If you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it dance. That was called the Beyonce. So dudes would bet, and if you lost the bet at any given moment, we could be in the middle of chow hall, and somebody be like, hey man, what's up, man? Let me get one of them donkey butts off of you. And you owed a debt. You had to pay it. So you're in a chow hall full of grown ass men that don't know you. And this dude's looking at this dude like, come on, man, not in here. Like, yeah, let me get them donkey butts off you. Next thing you know, you got a grown man turning around, grabbing the edge of the table, doing some weird shit because he lost the bet. But it was all in fun and games, man. And the fisherman. I love the fisherman too, right? Don't bet no fish hooks. The fisherman is when you bet with somebody on the fisherman and you lose, literally, if they yell your name out, no matter where you're at, they do like this, hey, and they cast it. I'm not no fun dummy. I'm not a dude that plays these games while locked up. We're not doing that. Yeah, I'm not here for your fucking amusement. You're not gonna no. But I've seen it, right? They cast it out, and I'll see the dude across the room jump up and bite it, and then the guy that you owe the debt to reels it in, and you do like this and jump all the way till you get to him, and he's like, "All right, you're off the leash." Dumb shit like that, man. Angelo Roberts, you ever stayed in Tennessee? I was just there for vacation in Smoky Mountains. Nah, but we've been through Tennessee. We was in Clarksville, I think 2 years ago. Did you ever hear what happened to Radar after Stacy? Radar wasn't Stacy. That was Dog. Radar ended up. Let me see. Was it Radar? It was Radar. Was it Radar or was it Solo? Nah, Solo was the one that was protecting the woman that was being attacked by the dude. Radar, I don't know what's up with Radar. Last I heard, Radar tried to push up on the Crip dude and put a knife on him while he was sleeping and was trying to do some weird things to him, and dude beat the shit out of Radar. Radar was all the way out there though. Radar was look the way the maintenance shop I worked in, we would go there because that's where supplies and stuff were kept, right? But it was in the hallway in another part of the prison in this building, right? And there was a hallway right across from it where all the new intakes came in. So the maintenance shop is hot. So we would have the door propped open and we'd be sitting in there doing whatever we were doing, fixing shit, doing this and that. But they kept the door propped open. Radar and Dog were the two biggest ones that kept that door propped open. So they could see the new intakes coming down the hall. And before I ever knew Radar was gay, Radar like, and he wasn't somebody that hit it. He's never going home. He messes with them boys. He lets it be known. To him, it's not weird. But I remember we're sitting there one day and he's like, God damn. And he hops up and he takes off out the door. I said, where the fuck this dude going? He comes back in there and he looks at the other dude. He goes, yo, man, you just see the bitch that came down the hallway? I'm thinking it's a guard. I'm thinking it's a teacher. I'm thinking it's what I know to be a female breast. But, you know, all that. I go look down the hallway and all I see is inmates. I said, Radar, what? Man, the third John, the bitch, the third one in line. And I get to count one, two, Radar, that's a whole entire man. Man, you don't know what you're talking about. Watch out. And Radar was on them boys, man. On them boys. Off topic, did you ever get the chance to ride a dirt bike, Jay? Yeah, we did the dirt bikes. We used to do dirt bikes, quads, all that. Gen H, how's the guy? That's Mark. They got cancer breathing the mold for years. Mark's much better, but Mark is locked up, unfortunately. Where Philly at? Philly's doing his thing. Philly's on this spiritual journey, man, and I support him. I go by and see him here and there. We talk here and there. He's out. He does street ministering. He's out and he's like, go look at him on TikTok, GT Philly. I think it's like disciple of God or something now, but he's really doing his thing, man. He has a calling, and it's crazy that out of all of us, that's who really went to God. He like because he was just so turned in the streets. That's my dog right there. Like we really did that shit, and he's now giving his life to God, and he does everything in his power he can to bring other people to God. Much love to him, and if he sees this, I love you, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, if y'all want to check his stuff out, just go to TikTok and look him up. You can see he's on there. Like he's really out there. Rapachulo said, "Hey, Jazz, want to thank you. Really? Hey, well, thank you, man. Thank you for watching." Dutch boy, do you believe in God, Jay? Yes, I believe in God, but I'm not. I don't live like I guess you would say a Christian does. I pray. You know what I mean? Don't get it twisted. I pray. I go to church on certain occasions, like maybe once or twice a year. But I'm one of those people that if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna fully devote myself to it. I'm not a one foot in, one foot out kind of guy. So if I was to be Christian, I'm gonna be all the way in, and that's just not my. Like I told Philly, that's your thing, man, and I support that. I support anything that makes you a better man, a better father, you know, brother, son, husband, whatever it is. I support anything that makes you a better person. I don't care if that's Allah, Jesus, the elephant. I don't care as long as it makes you a better person. But no, I'm not. I'm not big into religion. Did you sell the Hummer? Yeah, I've been sold the Hummer. The Hummer's been gone. Steve Hernandez, are you registered to a tribe? No, but I probably could. For y'all know, my dad was Native American. Um, and then you got my mom who had red hair. So my ancestry shows that I've got a good amount of Native American in me, but am I registered? No. How many times do you go live? I try to go live once a week, man. I try to hit the lives either Friday or Saturday. This week I was dealing with a child with a broken arm, so you know, family first, man. Aaron Hard, I know a man that's in his 90s. This man just got home 5 years ago. Jimmy has to be behind his door to sleep. Yeah, that's normal. It's called institutionalized. And if he's in his 90s, he's seen a lot of bad things. And the only time you're really safe, and I'm not even gonna say really truly safe, but the safest you're gonna be is once that cell door closes. Especially if you're in a cell with somebody you really rock with. Once that door opens, that's when all the monsters, the people that you should really be worried about, are able to get at you if that's what they're looking to do. So Easton Ma said, so you get hella crazy when you drink liquor? No, I'm not gonna say I get hella crazy. I'm like anybody else. I drink and have fun. My problem is that I can't let shit slide as easily when I drink. So say we're at a barbecue and there's this dude there that nobody likes. I'll let him get his thing off, right? It doesn't bother me. But the moment I start drinking, I start to get them eyes like, yeah, I'm probably have to beat you up tonight. So, but nah, I don't get all crazy when I drink. I can. Now, if a situation gets bad while I'm drinking, say something pops off and it gets bad while I'm drinking, yeah, I'm gonna take it to the next level. I'm a nut like that. That's why I don't drink. Steven Garcia was the worst thing you seen happen to a pedo in jail. The stuff with Stacy and Dog. The stuff with Stacy and Dog. But look, I got a story I got to tell on a dude named Sadler, who was actually related to the race car driver. I didn't even know. I don't know much about racing, but there was a race car driver named Herbie Sadler, right? And I knew all this from being locked up. That had a family member that was, and it didn't have nothing to do with him. So if you support him or what he does with racing, do that. This ain't him. And for all I know, this dude could have been lying about their affiliation. But story goes, he was related to the NASCAR driver Herbie Sadler, and he had these really, really bad charges. He would be another person that ended up in the cell with Dog, and I just have to. It was bad. I'll tell you this much: Dog was putting cigarettes out on this dude. When I mean putting cigarettes out on him, like I remember seeing him walk across the pod one time with no shirt on. It was right before we locked down. So it's like 10:45 at night, and he was going to get hot water out the hot pot. And this dude was a little off in the head, and he walked by, and he had all these burns on his back, where the shit's graphic. As Dog was doing his thing or whatever, when he was finished, he'd be smoking a cigarette during it, and then put it out on his back. And I remember watching him walk across the pod, and I seen all these cigarette burns on his back, and that might creep people out. But at that time where I was at, it was just kind of you see much worse. It was normal. Unsat said, "Good to hear from you, Jay. Your first man I started watching for the content, but being a father myself, how hard was it after your long bid to reconnect with your son? My father did flat 19, and we haven't missed a beat yet. It wasn't hard. It was what I wanted. Life is generally about getting to what you want, achieving whatever it is you may want, and that's what I wanted to be. Coming out, I wanted to be a dad. I really, really, I wanted to be a dad. It's one of the things that I'm best at. If you think I'm good at YouTube, then you have no idea who I am as a father. And it wasn't hard. It's something I longed for, I yearned for, I needed. I'm one of those people. I need to be needed. Like women want to be wanted, men need to be needed. We need to know that we're needed. We don't need nobody to give us a trophy for paying bills or do this and do that. But you need to know that you're needed. You know, in the moment you feel like we don't need you, then my job here is done. I have no purpose. And being a dad, it lets me know that I'm needed. My son, when he broke his arm, he knows that my wife is at work. You know, the chances of her being able to leave work, if she had to, she would. But he knows that I talk to him. I take him to school every morning. Dad, you doing a video today? Yeah, I'm doing a video. So he knew that morning when I took him to school that I was doing a video. But he knew also, if I'm hurt, call my dad. Call my dad. Not that my wife ain't, because my wife is gonna freak out. What, he's hurt? You know, so I guess he didn't want to worry his mom, but he knows to call his dad. We went to a friend of mine's house the other day. My son was with me, and he was in the back seat of the car, and we pulled up. We walk up to the door, and they got this big ass pit bull, big red pit bull, but the nicest dog in the world. I'd never seen this dog before. First time I've been to this house. I knock on the door, and the dog pushes the door with his nose, and he comes out. My son's still coming up the driveway, and the dog is wagging his tail. But he's so big, he's intimidating. When he comes out the door, I'm like, whoa, shit, that's a big ass dog. And he's wagging his tail. He runs down to my son, and I guess my son seen my hands go up. So when the dog comes up on him, my son goes, Dad! Like he screams, like, Dad, get him. And I turn around, the dog is playing. You know, but my kids know that I am the dad, man. And that's my job, is to be their dad. Whatever that entails. It boils down to, if you want to be a father, you want to be in your child's life, that's what you're going to do. There's no excuses. There's no excuses, man. 6'2" Tech said, what are the main exercises you use to stay in shape in prison? Well, of course, push-ups. I did push-ups 7 days a week. It got to the point where between push-ups and pull-ups and dips, those were my three main go-tos. We used to have the phones on the yard in prison, right? These blue pay phones. And you didn't use change. You had to punch in your inmate number. There's no coin slot, but it was two pay phones back to back, two pay phones back to back, and two pay phones back to back. It was six of them. Well, in between them was like a gap. It was a good 2 foot gap. Perfect to like hop up there and grab and do dips. So I did a lot of dips, and then I got into heavy lifting, like really, really, really heavy lifting. But what a lot of guys don't know is you can sustain injuries while you're big and while you're currently lifting and it not be that bad. But then once you come home and you're no longer lifting and you start to like shed some of that big bulk and that mass, that's when the pains and the injuries really, really catch up to you. I did a lot of damage to myself lifting insane amount of weights. We used to do pullovers, right? And that's where you lay on the bench in the opposite direction where the feet would be. And you lay back and you put your arms over your head and you grab the bar and you would just take it and you would pull it straight up, right? Kind of lock your elbows and just pull straight forward with the bar. We're talking 185, 215, laying on your back, your shoulders hyperextended behind your head, pulling it. Or sometimes you would just pull it and put it on your chest, push forward, and then rock it back. Heavy, heavy weight. That shit was terrible for my joints. He said, let's talk about it. Greensville had building 6 with all the sex offenders. I've spoke on that. All the dudes they sent here, what was it, from Brunswick? That showed up there when they shut down. And it wasn't, you're right, it wasn't S2. It was. You're right. Sam Stone said, Jay, you going to make another video about Big Tweet? I've debated on it. I got a bunch of different stories about Big Tweet, man. Tweet was just 88-time convicted felon. 88-time convicted felon. That dude's feared in prison. Just a big monstrosity of a man. Your boy's 634. Will you do the story of the guy you lost to cancer while walking on a beach live? No. No, it's too personal. The no. Mm-mm, no. I'm gonna let some things you just gotta let lay, and that's one of the situations that at 45 years old, it's nothing I can do about it. I can't go back in time. I can't. There's nothing there. It's a terrible, terrible situation. Me meeting this individual and finding out who this individual was to me, and then the person. I was supposed to go meet with this person for the first time ever, and before that chance ever came, the person died. And the shitty part is, I told you I'm terrible with texting, man. I'm terrible with the phone too. They had called me. He had called me and wanted to talk. And I had something going on that night. I couldn't take the phone call. And I didn't get back to calling the dude back the next day. And by the time I did get around to getting on the phone, the person had slipped into a coma and was we would never get to have that conversation. We would never get to meet face to face. But nah, you can add your own theories on what you think it was or who it was, but nah, I'll never talk on it. Let's talk about it. I worked at Greensville. I got real stories. Well, hit me up. When did you work at Greensville? Where were you at in Greensville? Because if you was there when I was there, chances are I know you. I was there too long not to know you. Mike said, "How did you get enough protein in prison?" There's a lot of things. I was big on fish, and I know you can say, "Oh, but we got these little. They're called kipper snacks, and it comes in a little. It's a thing of fish." And we had sardines. We had sardines and hot sauce, mustard, um, brine, mackerel, tuna. I was real big into all the different fishes just because of the amount of protein they put off. Peanut butter, eggs, certain bagels were high in protein, and milk. You make it happen. I worked S1, S2, S3. I was told if a riot happened, they would let me know. LOL. Hey, I had a conversation with one of the guards one time when I was doing maintenance, right? And if you're familiar with the prison and you know the AC unit for like the officers and the counselors, all the stuff, it's on the side of the building and it's up off the ground. It's mounted to the side of the building, right? So I'm out there one night and I'm working on this AC unit, replacing a contact on it. And this guard had been there for a long time. And he was like, "Yeah, I was here when they rioted." He's like, "It was so much blood coming from the third floor." He's like, "The stuff was like a movie." He's like, "It was running down the staircase to the first floor, right?" How accurate that is, I don't know. He could have amped it up for just a conversation, but I'd heard that from other people. That's when Greensville got the nickname Murderville at one point. So he tells me, he says he was a rookie. He said I had just started at the prison. I hadn't been there a couple months when this whole thing popped off. He said, so I'm running. The inmates are coming. He said, I'm running, trying to get to the other, to center circle to get past the gate to lock the gate, if you know what center circle is. Another guy that he went through, I guess, the academy with, had the keys on him, right? And the guard that was at center circle had left center circle and got behind the gate, and they locked it for master control. So there was no way for him to get through except through his radio. But he said the dudes cornered the one guard that had the keys, and this dude said, "Man, fuck this job. This job ain't worth my life." He said he unhooked the keys and threw it at him. Take them, take them. Like, if that's why y'all chasing me, them keys. Kicking the chaos said, I got friends doing life in Lawrenceville and River North. River North is messed up. Lawrenceville is messed up now too, though. I just did time with a bunch of dudes. Black Mike, let me see, who else? Mello, who else was up? Black, the Black that robbed the banks. I did time with a bunch of dudes that just came from Lawrenceville when Lawrenceville was still a private prison, and now it's state owned. But they were telling me, dude legitly said, and I don't know where. I didn't get details. I didn't ask, but there somewhere in the building was a hole. He's like, bro, there was a hole, and dudes were literally going out, and drones were dropping shit. And the prison knew all about this, but they were going out and picking the pack up, and the drone would fly back off in the distance. They'd reload it and send it 5 or 6 times a night. He said this thing might drop 20 cell phones. It might get right above where it's supposed to and drop a pound of tobacco, a pound of weed. I never made it to Lawrenceville, but I heard a lot of crazy stories, man. John Radim, 1989. Something I've been curious about. When you're on maintenance crew, did they let you guys use stuff like torches, etc.? Yeah. Prison's all concrete and metal. You're not fixing prison with bubble gum and band-aids. There's not wood everywhere in prison. You're not gonna see much. No homo, no diddy. There's not a lot of wood like that in prison. Everything is steel and brick. So shit, this guy, when something's got to be fixed, you're talking hammer drills, stick welding, you're talking masonry. But yeah, we used all that. But I had a boss. My boss was an outside worker. People have a misconception. My boss was not a guard. I didn't work with prison employees. Now, if it was the middle of the night and I was fixing something, of course you're going to have a guard standing there because of the question you just asked. That's why there's usually a guard present if it's not during the daytime. Because first of all, the maintenance man's not there. My boss ain't there. He's at home with his wife. But I know how to fix this shit, so they're going to come get me. I've worked with everything you could think of while in prison, but that shit is, they're down on it. They are down on it. You're not just gonna be like, hey, I need to go use this torch over there. I'll be back in a little bit. No, 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 no. Somebody's there the whole time. Rhino said, are private prisons any better than the state prisons in Virginia? Private prisons, for the most part, from what I know, are usually always better than the state prisons. But they can get a lot, they can get away with a lot more in a private prison as far as mistreating inmates goes as well. But guys I know that were at private prisons, them dudes lived a much different life than what we lived in the general state prison. They had they had more drugs, they had more cell phones, there was more turned up guards, there was more cash floating around. I've seen dudes show up from Lawrenceville that had, you know, I'm talking whole entire top grills that they had made while they were in prison. That they make the mold, give it to the guard, and the guard go out, get the grills fitted, receive the cash on the street, and bring them the gold grills back in. I had a homeboy that worked property, and when you come from one prison to the next, they go through all your property. One prison might allow you to have something, but the next prison might say, you can't have this. I had a homeboy that worked with my homeboy Smitty, worked on the dock where everything came from the property, and T worked the property, and they were constantly coming back with big ass gold chains that dudes had brought to them at Lawrenceville or at another prison that they got packed up and thought that when they got here, they were going to be able to keep it. The prison's like, man, you're not about to be walking around with no 300-gram gold chain. You got a $10,000 chain. No, no, no. They take them. And then that stuff would go out to the dock, and then Smitty and them would come to me and other maintenance workers. We passed by each other every day and get this back to the building and pass me stuff off, and then I'd make them break bread for whatever I took back. But yeah, private prisons, I would say, it's if you're going to do time, that's where you'd rather be at. Did I ever beat up a guard or see a guard get the business? Yeah, a little bit of both. I don't like to get on here and like brag on myself. I try to, early on, I talked, I've lost fights, I've won fights. I've been in fights where me and dudes just locked up and it's like, all right, neither one of us gonna stop, so let's just go our separate way. But I've seen some terrible things happen to guards. I've seen a guard get thrown off a tier. For the guy that was in here saying he was at Greensville, let's talk about it. I don't know if you was there with Lieutenant Bass, but Lieutenant Bass used to be a sergeant, and she used to this back when we smoked. I don't know where she got her cigarettes at, but her Newport 100 wasn't like anybody else's Newport 100. She had like a Newport 500. Them shits looked long as hell when I would see her out front of the chow hall smoking them. But she accused a black dude named Short Dog of stealing an extra tray. And this wasn't no deuce beating dude. This ain't no dude that steals trays. He don't even really come over here like that. And she snatched his tray from this dude one day, and he was coming right around the turnstile, getting ready to go to his table. She's like, "You already ate," and she snatches his tray from him. And this dude, and dudes are here's another thing: dudes are not gonna look at you any type of way. A lot of these dudes, if you knock a female guard out, that's a guard. I don't agree with it. You know what I mean? Don't put your hands on a woman regardless. But a lot of these dudes, that's a guard. That's the oppressor. He messes Bass up. Boom, boom, boom. Grabs her, picks her up, and slams her. Bah, snaps and breaks her whole arm, right? Beat the shit out this woman in the chow hall. She left. They did him real dirty. They drug Short Dog's ass in there. And Lieutenant Sergeant Bass left and came back as Lieutenant Bass. Walking around with Mr. Clark. You remember Mr. Clark? Let's talk about it. Lieutenant Clark, then he went to something else. This some bitch is like 7 foot tall. You know who I'm talking about. Got that little ass afro, but he always wears that big hat. So when he takes it off, his afro's all pushed down except for the sides. Yeah, her, Stiff, Sergeant Stiff, Lieutenant Ford. I think it was Sergeant Forbes at the time. He became Lieutenant Forbes. There's so many of them. Sergeant Whitfield, the male and the female. All ball, all balls, no tip. Jay, I feel ignored. I asked a lot of questions. Would you rather be in the prisons you went to or the Cali prisons? I mean, all I know about Cali prisons is what they say. But if they're making you click up according to race, I'd rather be here. I don't want to hang out. I don't like the idea of having to hang out with you just because we're white. I didn't like a lot of white dudes. I didn't like a lot of black dudes. I don't like a lot of people in general. So the last thing I want to do is have to ha ha and like all of y'all and hang out with all of y'all because we're the same race. I understand there's safety in numbers, but I'm just not a hang out with a whole bunch of people type of dude, man. And if I had to choose, well, I know what to expect here, so of course I'm gonna choose here. But if I was to get locked up there, it'd be no different than what I'm doing here. You're gonna program according to where you're at. You don't determine that. When people say things, oh, it don't that wouldn't happen here, that wouldn't happen here. Well, I'm not there, and I'm sure if I was there, this story would be much different because of how y'all's politics are. But that's not where I did time. But I've done time. Let me put it to you like this: doing time in Philly ain't no cakewalk. That shit is not no joke. Like it's the first time I went to the F, I seen y'all asked about female guards. I seen two dudes get to fighting, and one had a poker. I'm talking an ice pick, and the other dude had a razor, an actual box cutter that he got out this wherever at this part of the jail, and a bleach bottle. And I watched these two Muslim dudes go at it, and he's spraying the dude in the face, and they're slashing and poking, and there's bleach everywhere. And dude's using the bleach to try to blind him while he's cutting at him. And this guard we call Super Bitch goes over there and gets in between these two inmates that got knives and a bleach bottle that are fighting, and they carved her ass up. I was 19 when I seen that. 19. The first real attack I seen was a dude. We were watching Beast Wars on a Saturday morning. Remember Beast Wars, the Transformer? We're watching TV, and the dude changed the TV, and another dude came back and stuck an ink pen in his neck. Like, let's talk about it. Said, put me on a show, hit me up. I love to sit down and talk. Use up Greensville. I love to talk to you because you saw some shit, especially from being an officer and being able to move around the compound and hear what the other guard said. Hit me up. Jay Let's Live Life. JayLetsLive at gmail.com. Or you can find me on Instagram and on TikTok at Jay Williams Let's Live Life or Jay Let's Live Life. So you was there. He talked about it. Whitfield smoked packs a day. His little dirty roach looking ass, always thinking the females wanted him. Hey, remember that Chameleonaire song? They see me rolling, Jay hating. When that came out, that's all that dude must have played. I'd be coming out y'all hall, Williams, come in. I'd go over there, little bony, skinny ass. What's up? I know you're riding dirty. I know you're riding dirty. Come here, get against the wall. I said, man, you just like to touch on my nuts, man. Shut up. But Whitfield, I gotta say this. Whitfield, believe it or not, he played cool sometimes. I got to a point to where I'd been there so many years. So had he. You know how it is if you were a guard. You know how it is when you've got guys that you know this dude's up to no good, but he stays out the way. Like you might see him with a bag of commissary or something, but you know he stays out the way. He ain't really causing no real ruckus, so you're gonna let him go, right? Me and Whitfield got to an understanding of he knew I was doing shit that I shouldn't be doing. He knew I was tattooing. He knew I was doing this and doing that. But we got an understanding of like, this dude's really not the problem. I'm not really worried about him. And I remember there was one time, and it was probably one of the only times he ever did anything cool. I was headed to the building and I was walking past him. And he said, they know you riding dirty. He didn't say, gotta catch you riding dirty. He said, they know you riding dirty. And I caught that and I stopped and I looked at him, he said, you better get right. You better get right. They know you riding dirty. I'm not stupid. I've been doing this a long time. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I went straight to cell. I cleaned everything up. As I was passing off the last little items to one of my homeboys and walking back towards my cell, there they come in, putting gloves on. And he was with them. They were searching my cell. I looked over Whitfield. Whitfield just kind of looked at me. And like you said, went back out front and smoked another 600 cigarettes. Death Tokens, what's your stance on rehab versus punishment in prison? I think rehab should be the first avenue. I think that I don't think prison is rehab. There's no way around that. Prison's not rehabilitation. Getting old becomes rehabilitation. Like I think we all change. At 25, you're not the same person you were at 15. At 35, you're not the same person you were at 25. And so on and so on. I think a lot of rehabilitation comes from guys just grow up in prison. But do I think that everyday guys that have drug problems and shit like that should just be locked up? No, I don't. I don't. I think you got to get to the root of the problem to fix the issue. And I don't think locking somebody up is rehabilitation. It's not rehabilitation. Putting you in there with guys that have got the most worst crimes known to man is not rehabilitation. It's not. I'm in here for auto theft. Say, just for instance, you're in there for auto theft, and the guy you're in the cell with is in there for counterfeiting. You're going to talk about all that. By the time y'all are no longer cellmates, you're going to have a better understanding of of counterfeiting. He's going to know how to steal a car. Now, say you move into a cell with a guy that's in there for selling guns, and he knows how to make fully automatic weapons. By the time you get up out of there, you know how to make fully automatic weapons, and he knows how to steal cars. Prison is nothing but it's like college for criminals. You put these guys in there of all walks of life with all types of charges, and you're thinking them to come out better than they were when they've seen nothing but the worst of worst day in and day out. That's not rehabilitation. Jesse Rios, so what are the top three most brutal cartels? I don't know. Dylan Theron, Jay, are you still sober? I'm California sober. I smoke trees. I don't drink. I drink nothing, nada, no type of alcohol. I don't do anything else either. No prescription medications. Nothing. Like I smoke and that's it. I don't need all that other stuff. I don't need to be sluggish, down and out. I ain't got no reality I'm trying to escape from. My anxiety, the weed helps with the anxiety. I mean, people say, nah, it does. And it helps with the sleep. So no. Let's talk about it. Now, for y'all that don't know, this dude was a correctional officer at Greensville. He said, I remember when a white guy came on the yard and took his shirt off. and was tagged at white power. I said, well, it's going to be a long day. Well, you can also contest that it's majority of the prison is black. It's not that is not a white man's world. That is not a Spanish man's world. That is a black man's world. And even though the prison runs things, you know that behind the scenes, the inmates really run things in there. We determine if the guards go home. That's a no-brainer. But there's no unity. Like if we wanted to come together and decide that we're leaving today, it's not. You got 500 men on the yard, and the only thing that's holding us back is some chain link fences. Think about this. The only thing that's keeping us from leaving is that fence. And there's 500 men standing here. You don't think 500 men can pull down a fence? We could each walk up and put a pinky through the fence and pull the fence down with our pinkies if it's that many people, right? But Greensville is one of the places that I've seen so many different situations with them fake AB dudes. And I call it for what it is. The shit was fake. Can't be mad at me for calling it fake. It was fake. Can't nobody ever come on here and say what they were sanctioned out of. Because the shit was something that somebody here one day said, well, they got AB here. I seen a documentary. Today we're AB now. That's what these dudes were doing, right? I seen a lot of different situations where dudes would come up out that shirt and you would start seeing these tattoos. Now, remind you what I just said. This is a predominantly black prison. Most of Virginia's prisons are. And now you're walking around with a big old swazi on your chest, or white power, or white pride, or something like that. Yeah, somebody's going to take offense to it. And if you've got that, you better be ready to put on for it. And please believe I've met some dudes that did have shit like that that would really put on behind it. And then the majority of the dudes wouldn't though. I don't care how tough you are. When 40 people approach you in a crowd and them little dudes you thought was your homeboys a minute ago turn around and walk off because they're not really about that life. Yeah. All that tough shit goes out the window. Let's talk about this. I remember when the Bloods fought each other. Well, that whole fight started, that shit popped off because of the Mad Stone Bloods. When these Mad Stones showed up, even I didn't know. And I was tattooing. So I started putting all these diamonds. I was tattooing diamonds on these blood dudes. It seemed like every other day. Somebody come to me, how much you gonna charge me for this? You gonna charge for this, right? These stones started getting their numbers up. And at the time, it was a lot of brim gang, bounty hunters, um, shit like there was a lot of different sets of bloods in there. These stones started showing up and their knowledge doesn't match up with none of the stone, with none of the brims or bounty hunters or none of that, right? So they're immediately starting to say this is a fake set. This is a fake set. Somebody's created this blood set that's not real. This offset's not real. And it comes back that the shit is real. And by now, these little motherfuckers are deep. These stones, they weren't like most blood sets. Most of these blood sets had dudes of all ages in them. These dudes were primarily going after dudes in their early 20s when guys are really, really turned up. And it got into a thing where the shit popped off on the yard. Knives came out behind 8 building. And shit just went hectic. As we were going in one day, we're all going in our buildings from rec. The shit jumped off behind 8 buildings that were going through. They started hitting dude. Boom, boom, boom. So the first thing, like I'd seen so much over the past, a lot of times I wouldn't even care. I just keep it moving. But in this situation, I didn't really want to go in the big building to begin with. And I'm not even really close to the building. So it's not like I'm rushing to get in. I just kind of stop and watch. And all this fucking chaos ensued. And it was just bloods versus bloods. And they were coming from everywhere. Everywhere you look, somebody was running by. Somebody was running by. People dropping knives, people picking up knives. And it's like, all right, yeah, they're going to kill each other. Yeah, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I do think I'll go in now. I'm good. Y'all have fun with that. You ever have a blade pulled on you in a fight? I've had blades pulled on me and blades used on me. What you mean, just pulled on me? Yeah, absolutely. And Larry Lee stabbed me with a number 2 pencil. Bitch, who stabbed somebody with a pencil? Why you do that? I got this dumbass scar inside my thigh to this day. A circled, perfect dot. Where this dumb bitch stuck a pencil on my thigh. Why'd you just punch me? Stab me with a pencil. Who does that? Microwave versus the wall phone. What causes the most problem? That is a damn good question. Mm, the phone. Let me say this. Shit will get more serious behind the phone than it will the microwave. With the microwave, it's about respect. Now I want you to remember now you're in an environment where people just don't have respect. Not in the real world. Like you were selling your kids diapers and your EBT card every month, but coming to prison talking about respect. You know what I mean? Like you steal from your grandma every week, and now you're in here screaming you want respect. But the microwave thing is more of a respect thing. You got to respect the line. You're not gonna cut in front of me. Don't be letting your homeboys jump in next. That's disrespect. The phone thing, it's a respect thing, but it's also more of now you're trying to you just keeping me from talking to my wife. My kids got to go to sleep at 8:30. It's 8:20. You just click the phone again. Now I'm not gonna get to talk to my kids tonight. Now I'm like the phone just goes to a new level. That phone was your only for a lot of guys their only way to tap in with the outside world. Y'all make sure y'all run those likes up, man. Hit them likes for me. We got 435 people, 395 likes. I'm gonna sit for a second. What was just said? I'm solo dolo. I can't remember what you call it, but it's crazy. Inmates have access to boiling water. We call it buck 90. Now we had this thing called a hot pot. It's like a big ass metal cylinder, almost like a coffee maker, but it's just got a spout on the front. You take the top off, you fill it with hot water, you plug it in, and it 190 degrees steaming hot water. That I've seen go bad a lot of times. The worst thing you can do to somebody isn't the hot water. Let's get this straight. It's not the hot water. It's taking that hot water and mixing it with some type of an oil. Fish comes in oil. Then you have baby oil, which they stopped selling because of a situation like this. But you take that oil, you mix it with that hot water, and you further boil it. You take it and put it in the microwave. It's already 190 degrees, and now you boil it for 2 or 3 minutes. You get it on your skin. You somebody throws it on somebody, and I've seen this happen. They go to your initial reaction when something hot like that goes on you is to wipe at it. I seen a dude, a black dude, get hit one time, and he wiped, and as his hand went across his face, first all you seen was a bright white color. It was like solid white where he wiped the skin off, and then it went to pink, and then you seen the droplets of where it damaged the blood. But that boiling water was a nasty, nasty, nasty thing with that oil mixed in it. Change your life, change you forever. Jane Texan said, Jay, what would you say is some of the best traits you kept from prison? Like discipline, exercise, routine. This is an easy question. Patience. I am probably the most patient man you will ever meet. You have nothing but time. Everything in prison is wait, wait, wait. And when you feel like you're done waiting, you're going to wait some more. And when that gets old, you're going to wait some more. You're always waiting. You never stop waiting. You can ask the guy, I need a roll of toilet paper. All right, wait on it. Wait a minute, I got you. 2 hours later, he walks by. Hey, man, you got that toilet paper? Hey, I got you. 9 o'clock around that. You got, man, I ain't forgot you. I got you. Hurry up and wait. You become very patient. From the moment you get locked up, what are you doing? You're waiting to go home. Whether it's 10 days or 10 years, you're waiting. You become very patient. I'm a very patient man. What's the time over there? It's nearly 6 in the morning in Winchester, UK. Said Leon Beach. Leon, it is 12:51 a.m. David Blade, you have to fight for your life. I go into every fight like I'm fighting for my life. Every fight, I feel like I'm fighting for my life. And I can explain that to you. If you've ever seen somebody get knocked out and then continue to be attacked after they've been knocked out, it will make you go into every fight after that like you're fighting for your life. You don't ever want to be that guy that just was trading blows with somebody and caught one, boom, right to the chin. It caught that button, and you hit the ground. because I've seen some of the worst things happen to people once they were defenseless and unconscious on the ground. So you better fight like you're fighting for your life. You better do whatever you're gonna do to this man to the point that he never thinks about messing with you again. Benny go ahead said, Jay, you can't sleep going live this late, LOL. I took a nap earlier, and when I dropped the post today, I try to stay true to what I say I'm gonna do. I dropped the post today saying if I couldn't get a video, I would go live tonight. Well, I was watching the movie with the kids. Movie finished, and I'm not gonna say, "Hey, I have to go do YouTube live." We're not gonna finish our movie, kids. Have fun. No, I'm gonna let the movie finish, and then I'll jump on. Nature in glass boxes. I like interacting with y'all. I like you guys. Watch from San Diego. Your stories inspire me to walk away from situations. LOL. You know how many guys I met that talked about what they could have done different or what they wish they would have done different? I think prison is the home of regret. If you're in prison and you ain't got no regrets, you're psychotic. You're really, really psychotic to say, I got no regrets. You don't regret not being able to see your mama for Christmas or get your kids anything? Like, yeah, there's something wrong with you. But I've met a lot of guys. I had a homeboy that got jumped at a party, for instance. He got jumped at a party. They did him dirty. He didn't know these dudes. Showed up with some chick. The chick ended up going off and messing with some dude. It wasn't his chick, but she's like, yeah, there's gonna be other girls there. So he goes to this party, not knowing none of the people. That's one of the biggest. That's just stupid. These guys end up jumping him at this party, not knowing that outside in his car he's got that chopper in the trunk. He's got a vest in the trunk. He's got a pistol in the trunk. Y'all just jumped a real one for no reason. This dude didn't do shit. So they jump him at this party, right? He goes outside and he goes to that trunk. And I don't know, he was just in warrior mode, street mode. Why you put the vest on? Ain't nobody else shooting. But he goes out there, he puts his vest on, tucks his gun, the pistol on the side of the vest, gets that AK, racks it, stands out right in front of the house, and just lights the whole front of the house up with people in it, right? It's a house party going on with some shit ton of people in it. Needless to say, people got hurt really bad. It was just stupid on his behalf. None of that had to happen, man. At the least, he should have gone, went and got his homeboys, came back, and if they was gonna fight, fight. But he took him, went and got a gun because they jumped him. Went to court thinking it was justified because all these people jumped on him. When that's one of those situations he should have just walked away from. Jesse Rios, I've seen your question a couple of times. Can you do another top five what not to do in prison? I'm going to. I'm actually going to cycle back to some of my earlier videos I did where I did part ones that now need part twos and do the part twos and then put a link to part one in the description. But yes. We had ice machines while I was locked up. Did you guys? Yeah, we had the big machine that had the flip up front on it that just had like a water line that made ice. But that was another thing that caused a lot of trouble because in the summer times, guys weren't just getting a cup of ice. A guy would come up there with 2, 3 Dorito bags, the big Dorito bags, and fill the bags up with ice, or bring his little trash can from his cell and fill it up with ice, and then go fill their sink up, keep sodas in it, get a trash bag and fill ice up. So the ice machine couldn't keep up with the ice. It would be empty. Dudes would be down there scraping the last few cubes out of the ice machine. So then they would bring ice from other buildings, from administration, from the chow hall, and they would lock us in and they would have a guy come around with a cart. Because if you don't lock us in, everybody's going to bum rush him. So they put everybody in their cells. You're standing there like cattle. They come around, you hand your cup out the door, they fill your cup up, hand it back. If you're cool with the dudes, you might be able to get away with 2 cups of ice, but and that ice would save you. It would there was times that it got so hot in the cell, it got hard to breathe. I remember my voice getting all strapped and hoarse one time from the heat in the cell. Were you there when Cowboy was killed on the boulevard? No, but I do know the situation you're talking about. I know after I left, Rambo got killed there too. Pro Villa, thank you and salute. What's the closest prison you've done time in? The closest. The one from my house. State Farm, Old Deep Meadows, Powhatan. I came home from there October 27th last year. And it was legitly 17 minutes from my house. Like when I got transferred there, when I left Nottoway and I went to State Farm, that shit sucked. I'm in this transport vehicle. I'm in a van. It's got windows on the side, but it's got the mesh over them, the wire mesh, right? You're not getting up out of here. And I'm looking out, and we go down this road that this gas station I pass by. I get gas at that gas station every single day. So we literally drive by like if the van would have made a left in a matter of 60 seconds, I would have been home. Come here. So yeah, that prison when my wife picked me up, I was 17 minutes from the house. What happened? Did I just lose service or something? Is that a cat? That is a cat. My son, we have our cat. All three of our cats are rescues. This orange cat, my wife was at a gas station one day and pulled up. People suck, man. Somebody had pulled up and took a box with like 10 kittens in it and just threw the box out the car, right? And so my wife gathered the kittens up and we found homes for everybody. You know what I mean? Made sure all the cats found a little home. I never really liked cats prior to that. And she kept this one cat. And my oldest son kept it. When he moved out, he took it with him. Then he moved to a new place and he couldn't keep it. So we got another cat from the shelter. And that was his cat as well. So when he moved into the place, he couldn't keep the cats. He brought the cats back. Where we live, they can roam. They can do whatever they want. You know, they lay out on the docks, chilling on the rails. I'm more of a dog person myself too, but there are animals, and I love them and treat them the same. How's Bella doing? She's doing great. She is doing great, man. She's thriving. She's thriving. She's growing up. It's beautiful to watch her grow up. It's her second year in school. Her and my son are they go to war sometimes. Like they're brother and sister at this point, but they're really close, man. They're really, really close. She lives an amazing life. My wife is a girly girl. When I mean a girly girl, like my wife is she's girly girl. She's not one of those tomboy girls. My wife's not none of that. She is a woman. Like she's just girly. So every morning she's doing Bella's hair. Thank God for her, because Bella would be jacked up going to school if I had to do her hair. But she keeps Bella fresh, man. Keeps her pretty, smelling nice. Her hair's in a different hairstyle every day. Bella's doing great. Nature in Glass Boxes, thanks for spending time with us like this. You inspire a lot of people to stay clean in life. Look, I tell everybody, man, I'm no saint. I'm clearly a sinner. I'm no saint. I'm a man of sorrow. I'm a man of mistakes. And I never proclaim to be a saint. I will give you advice at times that will change your life, and I will turn around and do some of the dumbest shit that I know I shouldn't do. But I'm honest in that. I'm honest in that, man. You ever gonna have your wife on the pod? Said Dan McGee. I've tried to have the wife on. But she's not doing that. She's like, that's your thing. That's your thing. I don't want to be on there. And you know how women are, right? And when I say my wife is a 10 out of a 10, my wife is gorgeous. She's beautiful. But it doesn't matter how pretty you are. When you're a woman, all it takes is for one person to say something. And when it comes to a woman, that shit will stay on her mind. She will really believe whatever you said about her if you say something negative. And she's like, I ain't trying to deal with all that. That's what you do. Like you could be a woman that's 110 pounds. Somebody could be like, your wife's fat. Next thing you know, you got a 110-pound woman going, I'm fat. Or this about her nose or this or this. Like everything ain't for everybody, man. Devin Blaine, my daughter, had a heart transplant. Damn. Hope all is well with you and your family, man. I hope all is well with you and your family. Yeah, anybody in here religious, make sure y'all pray for Devin Blade and his daughter, man. I hope that she's okay. Quentin was the most recent prison suite compared to Greensville. I went to two prisons. I hit Nottaway, and then I went from Nottaway to State Farm, Deep Meadow, Powhatan. Which ironically enough, I live in Powhatan. Nottaway, there was nothing sweet about Nottaway. Nottaway is an old style prison. It looks old. It is old. And you got a lot of dudes there with a lot of time. There was nothing sweet about Nottaway. Now, when I got to State Farm, and State Farm is, I don't know why they call it that. It's not a farm. There's no farm activities going on. It's just a prison. But when I got there, that was one of the first times that in my entire incarceration history that I qualified for a level two. Like at the end of my 10-year sentence, they sent me to a level two, but they overrode me from a level three to send me to a level two for behavioral modification, right? This time, my points only scored me at a level two. I didn't come in with violent charges. I hadn't been robbing people. I hadn't hurt anybody. So I had to go to a level two after I left the level four. Um, the last place I was at was laid back. Dudes were doing more fighting than anything. And for real, I seen knives. I can't. Somebody kept hiding the same raggedy ass razor blade knife they had made in the bathroom. And if you leaned on the sink too hard, it would fall out. And several times it fell out, and I'd be like, what the fuck? I just pick it up, and put it back in there. But compared to Greensville, yeah, I seen a lot of bad shit happen at Greensville. You got a lot of guys there that are never going home, and it's over 3,000 inmates. These smaller camps, these level twos, some places fluctuate between 500 to about 900 inmates. There was more inmates than that just on my side of the yard. So yeah, anytime there's more numbers and more men, and don't think even at this level two, there was a lot of men there that weren't going home. They had worked their points down to a level two, but they were trying to enjoy that. They weren't trying to go back up in the mountains, go back to a max custody, four, fives, threes. They weren't trying to do that. So they kind of stay out the way until provoked. But compared to Greensville, was it sweet? I would say Nottaway wasn't sweet, but it still wasn't as rough as Greensville. And State Farm was chill, it was laid back. I watched more TV at State Farm and kicked it with dudes I knew than anything else. Real story, man. My homeboy Dirty gets out, he'll tell you Dirty used to pull up a chair right beside my bunk. And they had the 30 Days of Halloween on, I think it was AMC. Me and Dirty he would sit in that chair, and we would spend hours on hours just watching movies. Nothing else to do. Greensville, it wasn't like that. Jesse Rio said, Jay, are you good with Big Lance or no? What's your definition of good? Are we beefing? No. Were we ever beefing? No. That this is what you call beefing? No. This isn't my definition of beef. Are we good? I don't know what. I hope he's good. I wish him the best in life. I tell people like this, right? At the moment that somebody crosses me or does me wrong, because there's nobody that can legitly get on here and say he did me wrong. Nobody. Break it down. Tell the truth. Nobody can get on here and say I've ever done them wrong. I'm one of the most selfless people you'll ever meet. My whole life at one point became just about helping people. And even to this day, I still help people, right? I'd never done nothing to that dude, man. Like I'm gonna go my direction, you go your direction, that type of thing. I don't even want to talk about this, but I look at it like this, right? I want to see everybody eat. I want to see everybody eat. But in the moment that you cross me, you lost me. When the moment our life goes in two different directions, I don't plan on our road merging back together again because if something like that should happen a second time, that's my fault. That's my fault. If I find myself with another knife in my back, that's my fault. The first one didn't hurt bad enough. You got to take a second one. Like, no, I want to see people eat. But once we get to the point that I'm not rocking with you no more, you can eat. You just can't eat at my table. That's all. I wish that dude the best, man. Not a bad dude. I wish him the best. You have any cellies with really weird habits like picking scabs, etc., said Russell. This last dude, the dude I was in the cell with at Nodaway, um, was a nut. He was a nut. This dude told me he was Jesus. Told me he was Jesus after I just watched him consume a whole concoction of drugs. He went on to tell me he was Jesus, right? I woke up. This dude is just the shit he did was next level. He had Jay, let me get a half a bag of coffee from you. And I see him giving his coffee to everybody, right? So I said, nah. You can't have what's mine because you gave all yours away. Like I told you about that. You done did 5 bids. He's been to prison 5 times. You know better than this. But he would get high and want to share with everybody, right? So I said, no, I'm good, man. I'm not, you can't get mine. Like you need a shot of coffee, I got you maybe once a day, but I'm not taking care of you because you decided to take care of everybody else that you get high with. So he goes and he 2 for 3s some coffee. He goes to Starbucks. You don't know what 2 for 3 is, then I'll tell you. That means he went and got 2 bags of coffee, and this guy wanted 3 back, and then still wanted like a couple more dollars on top of it because guys generally don't like the Starbucks coffee. So he comes in, I got coffee. I said, well, good, because you're going to need that. Right, I got mine. I keep my stuff. I'm out of bed. I wake up in the middle of the night. I got to piss. This dude standing at the sink. I sit up on the bunk. I said, move, man. I got to pee. He moves. He stands behind me. I piss. But I'm looking at the sink. There is brown shit everywhere. There's a homemade straw laying on top of the sink that he's made out of a piece of paper. He's rolled up like a straw to snort stuff with. Mind you, I'm half asleep. And there's brown shit. The whole top of the sink has got brown shit everywhere. The buttons, the thing you push to flush the toilet, there's brown shit all over the top of the toilet. And this little brown straw he's made has brown shit all over it. I'm looking, I'm like, I said, yo. I turned around, I looked at him, he's got brown stuff all over his face. I said, what are you doing? You ain't ever snorted coffee? I said, oh my God, man. Bro, you're the worst. You're not telling me that I'm asleep and you're in here snorting instant coffee. Yeah, man's in there snorting instant coffee, man. And he used to walk around. He got us shook down twice, right? He used to walk around and he would put his finger to his ear, and he would walk around talking all day long inside the pod. So the guards in the booth, when they see him, they see the finger to his ear. They think he's got a Bluetooth in his ear. So they're thinking he's connected to a Bluetooth and the phone is in the cell. I'm laid back in the cell one day, laid on the bunk. It's like, what was it? I want to say it was like July. Hot. There's no type of air circulation in Nottoway. We had just gotten our little fans. I'm laid back and the doors open up and I look and it's a shit ton of guards standing at the door. Williams. I said, what's up, man? Stand up. I said, what's going on? Step outside the cell. I step out. They're tearing shit up. I said, what y'all looking for? Where's the phone at? I said, what phone? Where's the phone at? Man, what phone? So they come in. Nah, just Sally, somebody got a phone. He's walking around. I don't know what he did with the Bluetooth piece, but we seen him talking to the Bluetooth piece, and we came in by then. He had ditched it. Where's the phone at? I said, nah, man, that dude's a nut. And he ain't got no phone. He's blocking the noise out from everybody else while he's talking. He just don't want to look like a weirdo with both fingers. So he's got one on one ear. He's walking the outside the perimeter pod. So the tables are to his left. So he's putting his finger to his ear to block out the noise. He comes in the side. I said, look, man, whatever that crazy shit you're doing, you can't do that no more. Or you going, I'm going to pack your shit up. It ain't a couple days later, he does the same shit, right? Then I realized the dude was legitly crazy. Another time he woke me up out of my sleep. He was sobbing. And I told y'all, this dude didn't sleep on the bed. This dude didn't sleep on the bunk. He slept on the concrete with no mat, no pillow, no clothes. I mean clothes, like he wore clothes, but he didn't put nothing down to lay on. No sheets or nothing. He was sleeping on the concrete like a dog. I wake up one night, he's sitting in the middle of the floor and he's rocking and he's crying. And I sit on my bunk. I spin my legs around. I sit on the edge of the bunk. I sit there a minute. I said, what's up with you, man? And he's like in another zone. He's sobbing like a baby. Like this man is crying. He's saying, please don't leave me. I love you. And he's just sobbing. And he's in another world. He's not even alert to the fact that I'm awake and I'm talking to him. So I said, yo, I screamed. I said, what is you doing? And he's like, hey, what's up, man? And he like snaps out of it. I said, hold on, man. We got to talk. We got to go ahead and we got to have this talk. What's going on with you? She don't love me, Jay. I said, yeah, they usually don't. What the fuck you mean? You in prison? No, you don't get it, Jay. She made me think she loved me, and she don't love me. What is you talking about? Who? I ain't seen you get on the phone with nobody but your mama. Your mama don't love you? No. This man gives me this rundown on how he had secretly fallen in love with a nurse at the jail, and she didn't love him. She don't even know he exists. In his brain, he has completely created a relationship that's not real. I said, man, bro, you wake me up one more time. One more time. I'm done, man. I'm done. I looked him up. He got out in February and was re-locked up. I think it was like within 2 months. He was locked back up. He told me, he said, when I get out, I'm not even, I said, what are you going to do when you get out, bro? Because you clearly can't stop getting high. All you do is get high. Like, what you going to do when you get out? He said, I'm going to get high. I said, well, you got probation. You got piss tests. What are you, stupid? He said, yeah, I don't care about none of that. I'm just going to go as hard as I can until they catch me again, and then that's it. I said, damn. He said, I own a pool and a hot tub company. I can get you right. I don't know if that's to me. We're good now. Um, I had to figure it out, but I got to figure it out. The hot tub stays on point. I have a big ass hot tub sitting to my left, 20,000 gallon in ground pool. Like, and I have gotten. We've been here years. You know what I mean? So I've gotten really good at taking care of the pool and taking care of the hot tub. Max Power, see you the man. Jay Bunkin and I say hello. Is that my homeboy Bunkin? If it is, you tell him I said what's up, man. Andrew said, Jay, be real. How many hats? Hundreds. I have hundreds of hats. Oh, something's getting eaten out there. We live on a big ass lake, right? And it's peaceful out here. Like there's like across from me, this is no cap. You can think what you want. When I first moved in, I talked to some of the people out here that own their houses. Across from me, we got a retired senator, right? Over to my left. And then over across the lake to the right, this dude do something to do with brains. I don't know if he's a brain surgeon or He gave brain. I don't know. A lot of people with money out here. So it's really well upkept. It's really beautiful. And then you have me. You be sitting out here at night and just hear something just get eaten. And I don't know if y'all could hear that shit a minute ago. That's what was going on. Jay, what is the hardest thing to deal with in prison? Feeling helpless. Just feeling helpless. Like, I don't care how big you are, how big you get, how strong you are. None of that shit means anything to the people that really need you. If your mom's passing away, being able to bench 500 pounds ain't gonna do nothing for her. Being the toughest guy in the prison ain't gonna be able to do nothing for her. You can be the biggest hustler there is in prison. If your kid needs school clothes and shoes and all you got is a cell full of commissary, that shit don't mean nothing. The feeling of just constantly feeling helpless is one of the hardest things to deal with. You see so much just extreme violence sometimes. Even if you don't see it, you hear it. And that's another time when you just feel helpless. Because when something like that pops off, all time stops. When somebody starts stabbing somebody, everything that was going on stops. Whatever you had going on in that moment stops. And all you can really think, and if you're going to say it's not the truth and you've done time, you're a liar. After something like that's done, all you can really think in your mind after watching somebody get brutally attacked is, damn, I'm glad that wasn't me. They aired that boy's ass out. And a lot of times when this happens, it's usually not one-on-one. It's usually 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 4-on-1. Like, there's a lot of times, especially with bigger dudes or really, really violent dudes, the average dude's not just going to run up with a knife and try to poke him. He's going to go and he's going to recruit 3 or 4 more dudes so they can pack on him. You know what I mean? Like a bunch of little hyenas with a lion. Jay, are you close to Smith Mountain Lake? Went there a couple weeks ago. It's beautiful. My son-in-laws have a house on the lake. Crystal Lawson said no, but I know where that's at. You're talking about in Roanoke. I went there when I was in my teen years. I can't tell you what lake I live on. If I tell you what lake I live on, all you gotta do is look at the houses. It ain't gonna take you long to figure out who I am. Third Coast, how do VA prisons compare to Maryland prisons? From Be More, much love and respect. I've met a lot of dudes that did time in Maryland that were here locked up in Virginia and vice versa. And from what I hear, it's pretty much the same. What was the biggest power move you seen be made to make something happen? Project Sleeping with Miss Mahoney. Miss Mahoney was just a women aren't supposed to have beer bellies. You get what I'm saying? And if you do, hey, the t-shirt on. Women aren't supposed to have beer bellies. And I know that when you're locked up, like a lot of guys, like a hole is a hole when it comes to females, right? I don't fall on that spectrum. I still have standards. Miss Mahoney was just too low down the ladder, right? And I remember dude was knocking Miss Mahoney off to get that pack brought in. And that was a serious power move because I don't know that I could have done that. I don't know. I could have hit Miss Mahoney. But he made it happen. I know this. He knocked off, prior to him knocking off Miss Mahoney, there was little stuff coming in through the visiting room each week. That was the typical what you would expect to see floating around in prison. And she was much bigger than him. Dude that was hitting her, he was probably like 5'3", 5'4". Just an ugly little roach looking dude. And she was probably 5'8", 5'9". But 200, 195, 200, with a beer belly, receding hairline. The woman looked like James Brown, like a female version of James Brown. Came in with her hair all slicked back, right? And he was burning Miss Mahoney's ass up in that cell. But after he started doing that, it opened up the floodgates. Whatever he wanted from the streets, she brought him. You know what I mean? If he wanted a cheeseburger, she's gonna stop at McDonald's, throw a cheeseburger inside of her lunchbox, and she'll put that bitch on her arm or something, smuggle it back to the pod. Like, but as far as the drugs went, that was a power move on his behalf. I know that before he got caught, I can only guess how much money he made. It was like probably a 6 month run. But if I had to guess, he was making anywhere from 5 to 10 grand a week in prison selling drugs. Rhino said, "Have you ever witnessed any paranormal activity in prison?" I've spoke on this. I've seen things I can't explain. I've heard things I can't explain, and to this day, it still kind of makes me wonder if my mind was just playing tricks on me. Andrew the Gibbler said, "I've seen way too many of your videos to not drop a little something. Thanks for keeping it real. And how many Seahawk hacks you got?" Seahawks. I know I've got, I think, two Seahawk hats and two beanies. Packy Vision TV said, "Prison is a place of despair. I lost my grandma Ellen, my grandpa Ernie, two close friends, my cousin Megan, even my dog in 7 years. Also, my stepdad. Wish I could have been here before they passed away." That's one of the times you're gonna see hardened men break down. I don't care who you are. Death is that one thing that it knocks down all boundaries and all walls. Jacob, and in his time locked up, my homeboy Jake McQueen, if you watch the channel, you know who he is. He doesn't have much left, man. He's got a couple years. He gets out. Much love to him. Shout out to Angie for being a real one and holding him down. I watched him go through loss, and he lost his dad and his mom. But you got to think, he was sentenced to 36 years, right? Been in there since he was 19. He lost his dad and his mom while he was down. And I've been in cell with guys that have lost children, wives, um, parents. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to. Nobody used to like to get called to the chaplain's office, right? The chaplain is usually who tells you when you've lost somebody. So whenever they come in and they call somebody's name and say, "Hey, the chaplain wants to see you," other inmates are like, "Oh shit." Because if you're going to see the chaplain, it's not good news. They're going to tell you lost somebody. And I've seen a lot of people take that walk and they come back. Every single time, it looks like they hung back for a little bit in the chaplain's office to try to let the red eyes and the tears go away. But they come back and you can tell they've been crying. And it's one of those things where if you know the dude, it's like, "Yo, you all right? Everything all right? Damn." Or you just, "Hey, man, I know you're going through something. Holler at me when you get done, man." Rob from the land of common sense, welcome to the real one. Hey, thank you for joining up, man. That is one of those things that it don't discriminate. We're all gonna experience it at some point, and prior to going through it for ourselves, we're gonna go through it many times with others. Dan McGee, you ever gonna drop a video, maybe going over your tats or work you've done? Just curious, really. I've debated on that too. I've got a lot of sweet work. I've got a lot of tattoos that mean a lot to me. Um, One of my favorite tattoos is just one of the most simple tattoos I have, and it's on one side of my neck, either this side or this side. I can't remember what side it's on. I think it's this side, but it says "I'm still living." Right, and that was, if I ever do break into my prison photos, I got a whole book full of prison photos. You'll see one of the first tattoos I got on my neck. It said loyalty, and then after that, you see "I'm still living." Um, that tattoo was just a reminder that I'm still alive. I'm still here. I'm still okay. I'm still going home. Because sometimes you just feel hopeless. And looking in the mirror every morning, I'd wake up, brush my teeth, wash my face, rinse it, and I come up and I look in the mirror, and that tattoo look back at me and it says, "I'm still living." Just a reminder that even in a place where penitentiaries are like ginormous graveyards, some of these guys are dead and they don't even know it yet. They're never going home. This is their resting place. So there's a lot of despair that comes with it. That tattoo helped me, man. I hate anytime I hear somebody say they lost somebody. Sound about a foot in here. That's my homeboy Ronnie. He doesn't live far from me, man. He's a good dude. Um, his son comes over, plays with my son. We hang out here and there. He lost his dad last year, and I've talked to him about it here and there. And it's just I know what loss is, but it's the same for all of us. It hurts, man. Larry Ortwine said, "Don't you owe apologies to addicts? You dogged them for so many years while being one. Let's get this straight. I've never dogged anybody for being an addict. I've always said from day one, I understand why people do what they do. I've always encouraged people to stop. Never dogged anybody. I've joked about situations. That's what the art of storytelling is. You laugh, you joke, you cry, you smile. Like that's the art of storytelling. I've never dogged anybody. But if for any reason I've ever offended anybody, that I do apologize for. And I've never denied being an addict. You know, I've been an addict since early on. I got into pills and alcohol in my early teen years. And as far as pills go, I didn't have no type of people would get on here and try to paint a picture like I was all messed up on pills. That's not the case. That's not the case. I got hurt. I took Percocets. I stopped taking Percocets. Um, and then I got sick from the withdrawals of the Percocets, so I started taking Suboxone. My Xanax, I was prescribed Xanax. You're not going to ever meet a person on here that's going to say, since I came home from my 10-year prison sentence, that they watched me popping Xanax like that. If they say that, they're a bald faced liar. The only way you're going to see me eat Xanax is if you're my wife and we're getting ready to go to bed. And I go to the pill bottle and I take the one pill out and I eat it before I go to sleep. Now I don't even take those. I don't even mess with the script no more. I'm done. So it wasn't, I've always been an addict. I'll always be an addict. Even being sober, I'll be an addict. But I've always tried to encourage people to get sober. But don't believe everything you hear. Here's the thing: you can believe anything you want when it's coming from one side and it's not coming out of my mouth. If that's all you got to go off of, believe what you want. But I'm telling you that as I'm preaching to people, I'm not out here getting twisted like that. Yes, I did relapse back into drinking at one point. You know, there's no shame in my game. That's what it is. I'm 45 years old. I don't give two shits who judges me. You can't, yeah, who cares, you know? But that's my story. But like I said, if I did offend anybody and you feel as if I was being two faced in the situation, for that, I apologize. Team Xbox or PlayStation? I'm PlayStation. I used to be Xbox, but I'm PS5 all day. Warzone COD, yeah, I play Call of Duty. I do Call of Duty, Dead by Daylight, um, quite a few, but yeah, I do Call of Duty. Dominic Paris, so what up, Jay? F would you heavy? Hey, thank you, man. A big salute, bro. Favorite prison tray? There is no favorite prison tray. But there is one tray that everybody's gonna go for, and that's the Thanksgiving meal. Thanksgiving or Christmas, where you get like real turkey and stuff. Now it ain't gonna be like what's at your mama's house. They'll give you a little more than usual, but that's probably my favorite. The only mm, when they still had fried eggs, I go for fried eggs in the morning. Outside of that, if they were having chicken or something, I go over chicken. The stuff the prison makes, I'm not a fan of none of that. Meat rock, sweat meat, cow tongue, wolf foot. No, I'm not eating none of that. You ever tried VR? Yeah, we got the newest PlayStation VR upstairs. What do you think of the new Halloween game coming out at Jay Williams Let's Live Life? Adam, I didn't know there was a new. Why didn't you mention that when we was on the phone? I didn't know there was one. I know I played the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, and it's like it's kind of like Dead by Daylight, but just not the same map over and over and over. Aaron Hard J, do you still eat cup noodles? No, no, I don't eat no type of ramen, cup of noodles. No, we had pho for dinner tonight. If you know what pho is, like I'll eat that type of noodles, but like no, The kids like them, so I allow them to stay. If we ain't had the kids in the house, I throw that shit away. What are your thoughts on the Raja situation? His ass is going to jail. And if y'all don't know who to talking about, he's talking about the UFC dude's son that just beat up the wrestling guy. He's going to jail, man. As he should. As he should. And you take that how you want. This ain't a white thing, this ain't a black thing. This is a right thing and a wrong thing. That man did not know. Like it was scripted that he was supposed to get in there. I've seen all that. And they were supposed to have this whole scripted thing. But that wasn't what this was. He knocked that man out and then brutally beat him. And now Raja's not just your everyday dude. His dad is Rampage. Like he was trained by one of the greats. He was trained by a machine. His dad is like that. And to just unleash all that, like he was given a gift. His dad gave him a gift and he misused it. And somebody got seriously, seriously hurt. I'm big on accountability, man. I'm very big on accountability. Like if you did something, man up. Take what comes with it. That's what you decided you wanted to do to that man in that ring. All right, you did it. Now understand what comes with it, man. OJ Nafta said, how long do you think he'll receive, bro? Will money have a say on his sentence? Money helps. You can't lie and say that having a top paid lawyer ain't gonna help your ass. It's definitely gonna help your ass, but is it gonna save him? No, it's not gonna save him because the whole world watched him do it. And you don't want to be that judge that didn't give somebody the sentence they got, and now everybody thinks you're playing favoritism or that money came into play on your decision, and then it goes to a higher court level, gets overturned and sent back, and now you look stupid. So they're going to give him what he's supposed to get. I don't know what the sentencing guidelines are. They're different all across America. You could do something in one state that gets you a year, that gets you 10 in another state. So who knows what he's going to get. Rob from K Dub, Ontario said, do you think some people are only alive because of drugs, helping people escape from inner demons and trauma? I think um I think for a lot of people, drugs are an escape. They're a coping mechanism. I know they were for me. I was an abused child that wanted to escape reality. I wanted to escape what took place in my household on the daily. So I started smoking weed before I did anything, right? And then the first time I drank, I'll never forget. It was a bottle of wine. My homeboy out back at his house beside these steps, and I don't know where this old ass crate came from, right? But there was an old crate with all these old ass bottles of wine in it. And there was a bunch of these crates up underneath the deck, but this one was sitting off to the side. I don't know if his dad had came out and like got one of them. I don't know where they came from. I don't know as a kid. But I remember my friend was like, "We're gonna drink these, right?" So I grabbed one, and one of them had a pocket knife, had the cork in it. So you had to put the cork in there and like stir it. And I couldn't get the cork out, so the cork went in it and it had little pieces of cork floating in it. And I remember, and wine will mess you up. Wine will give you the worst hangover. You'll be drunk and feeling like shit. But I remember that I drank that day, and there was some stuff going on at home with my pops. And in those moments of being drunk, it just it didn't matter. Nothing mattered. So I started to drink more, and then it got to a point where I'm young. I'm young, man. I'm talking preteen, where I'm drinking, and you're 11, 12 years old, and you're sneaking a little drink with your friends, but you're really enjoying it, and they're not really liking the taste of it. They're not really drinking it like you are. I was really drinking that shit. So by the time I got into my teens, 13, 14 years old, I would say I was drinking 3, 4 days a week. And I was really, really drinking. I mean, not just drinking for my friends. I would drink when there was nobody else around. Like them 40s of OE, and then the Mad Dog and the Crooked Eye Steel Reserve. I mean, the Crooked Eye St. Ides, and then they went to the Steel Reserves and the Hurricanes. Like, I constantly stayed drinking. Not to where I was like Ned the homeless bum walking around. No, I always stayed fresh. I've always stayed fresh. And you wouldn't see me in the daytime like all sloppy drunk. Like, I would just hustle and do what I did and kept a bag with me and I drank. But do I think that it kept people alive? I think that it's kept people maybe from, in some situations, doing things they wouldn't do. And I think drinking also leads to people doing things they shouldn't do. You'd be surprised how many people I know that have taken their life that did it while intoxicated. So it's hard to say it keeps them from doing this or doing that, when a lot of times when it comes to things like suicide, that's the final thing people need is something like that to get them inebriated to help remove that fear before they take that final step. I remember my mom. Used to live in these apartments called Meadowdale, right? And Frog's still in here. Frog knows because Frog lived with me back then. I'm like 17. And I remember we'd all hang out back of the apartments on the patio area. Because if you sat out front on the steps, the cops would snatch you up because you're underage out there with a bag. I remember my mom coming out there and being like, "What are you doing? You're only 17." And I'd be out there drunk. There'd be 40s everywhere. And she'd end up just locking the patio door. "Can't come in here tonight. Go find somewhere to stay." And I just, wander off, do what I was do for the night, and come back the next day. But that's what we did. It's crazy. We're still at 400. It is 1:41 in the morning. I got to get up out of here. 420 RVH. You have any positions open with your business? Temporary, part time, whatever. If so, can I hit your email? I'm an RVA and just looking to spend my time constructively. I don't do the construction no more. This is what I do. This is what I do. And I don't I had this talk with Adam Choi. He's in the comment section earlier. He's a friend of mine outside of this. I met Adam through YouTube and we became good friends. I don't know. I continued to do the construction, kind of just like I said earlier, it's all I knew. It's all I knew to do. It was my routine. And I didn't know like what I was going to do after I didn't have that to do anymore. You just get so used to with work, we're like robots. We're programmed to get up and do the same thing every day in, day out. day in, day out until you die. That's just how it goes, right? I didn't know, like, what am I going to do now that I'm not doing construction? And I was doing the math, right? Just this month alone, what I've made from YouTube and doing YouTube was five times what I would have made doing construction, six times. And that's not boasting. That's just back to the why we do the things we do. Why am I still getting up and going to work and doing this? People hate work. People hate manual labor. They hate doing hard stuff. But I voluntarily would get up and go do it every day, knowing that at any moment, all I had to do was turn around, turn my camera on, and that whatever I would have made at that job in the next 2 weeks, I made today just doing YouTube. And it's one of those things where I've come to realize this is a blessing in a world where people work just to stay above water, just to pay the next bill, to be able to say that I do something I really enjoy and I love, and I'm able to be with my kids, be with my wife, take off and go on vacation if I want to, whenever. That this is my job, and to say that I put another job that pays less in front of this is just stupid. But that goes back to me being programmed. It's all I knew to do. Yeah, I don't do the construction no more. Hitman, man, welcome aboard and thank you, bro. 420's RVA. That I can probably put you to work with. YouTube has been going crazy. I shoot and edit if you ever need anything done. Got my own equipment and software. Email me. jletsLiveLife@gmail.com. Also find me on Instagram and on TikTok. Make sure you reach out to me. Yes, I do got something that we can definitely talk on. If you ain't capping. How long you in the hole for the dude falling off the bed? Over 30 days. Talking about the dude damn near ripped his ear off his head? Stupid bastard. Damn near 30 days. Joseph Seltzer said, Joe J, love what you do. The art of storytelling is a skill that you nail. The way you tell things, you can paint a picture so well. Hey, thank you, man. I had a viewer years ago that used to always comment, and this person was blind. And he says that he's listened to a lot of different channels, and that by far mine was his favorite, because when it came to painting stories, and this person wasn't always blind. At one point, they could see and they lost their sight. He's like, you tell these stories, and I can close my eyes and I can visualize it. I always thought that was a cool comment. Pauls Brown said, I've had to take a step back from my YouTube channel lately because of my law issue. But my YouTubers are still sticking around. They're the real ones, too. The people that really rock with you are going to be here. I had this worry when I took a break from YouTube, right? That if I went away for a little bit, nobody would be there when I returned. But then I had to remember that there was nobody there when I first got there. It's like if you build it, they will come. And I never had any doubt that if I need to step away from this for a little bit and come back, everything's going to be okay. Everything was going to be okay. Everything was more of an anticipation for my return than anything. But YouTube has gotten weird. YouTube, y'all seen the thumbnail. YouTube has become a big ass circus where I'm not going to sell myself for views. I'm not going to go against my morals for views. I'm not going to go against my beliefs for views. You can't disrespect me and then think that for some views, everything's going to be okay. No, YouTube has turned into a big clown circus. Even like you see TikTok, a lot of that shit's coming over here where you got people just doing weird shit on YouTube. And even in the genre I'm in, and it's not aimed at anybody. It's just a collective opinion on things I've seen. Dudes will do and say whatever to think they're gonna make a check. There's certain stories I'm not gonna tell. There was a story that happened this go around with a woman and two inmates, and the worst possible thing you could think they would do to her that we were all there for. We all seen the outcome. We didn't stand by and watch this situation take place. We'd have done something really bad to those dudes, but these dudes were able to get to this woman, and we seen the aftermath of the guys being brought out, the woman being brought out, all the guards, just the chaos that ensued. I know all the details on this story, on the guys, the female, everything that took place. That's a story I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to tell that story. That's somebody's mom. That's somebody's wife. A man somewhere at work on that day got a call that his wife had just went through some of the most heinous things you could ever think for a woman to go through. And for me to turn around and want to tell that story on camera for some views, I'm not part of the circus, man. I'm not a clown. It ain't that serious. But that's a story that like I'm never gonna get into details about. I said more than I was comfortable with just now. Just because I know that that woman had an entire family at home that to this very day, I can promise you, her husband is dealing with what happened to her right now. And this was over a year ago. So that's some things are just better left alone, man. Marks, Jay, do you ever feel guilty for your childhood friend's addiction to weed? I forgot his name, but it's a friend that sold his dad's guns for weed. You talking about Smokey? I seen Smokey he was staying at Philly's house. He was renting a room. I seen him a couple months back. He is also, ironically enough, giving his life to God. But do I feel guilty? No, no. Smokey went on to, and I wasn't the only kid in the neighborhood that had weed for sale. Like at that age, you realize this was something that kids wanted, and that they would even give their lunch money up for. I got lunch money in my pocket. I'm the same age as them. I wasn't responsible for Smokey going down the smoking weed route, and then the route he went out that was just everybody from my hood went that route. All right, cooking soon, man. Your Tyler's crying. Got to go. Keep it up, bro. Salute. Hey, take care of them kids, man. Much love. Moxie, YouTube is a new age gossip tabloids. It is. It is. And these dudes will try to bait your ass in if you don't know how to play this game. You know, anytime I see my name pop up in a negative light on somebody's video or in a conversation, I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go. They're not watching you, so let's talk about me so that now they'll watch you. Like it has become a huge gossip and tabloids. And the saddest part is the majority of these dudes that are going back and forth talking about each other, a large majority of them, if they ran into each other in public, they would most likely dap up. What's up, man? How you been? Look, man, you know that was just for the tube. Like, come on, man. I ain't got no big honky red nose. I ain't got no big clown shoes. I definitely ain't got no curly hair. Like, mama ain't raised no clown. Joseph Joseph Seltzer checking in. He said, filling the house 215. You already know it's 215 love most all days, man. D Block Express. Are most men in jail because of women? No, but there's a lot of men in jail because of women. No, I wouldn't say most. There's a lot of guys. I've met, I don't know how many guys that story revolves around a woman. Um, the dude Sizzler that fell in love with a prostitute and tried to throw gasoline in her face, burned his whole face off. This is a black dude. He burned his face off, like gone, horror movie status. Like, like you should be legally allowed to wear a shiesty all day. He burned his face off behind a woman, and even in prison, he would still talk about this prostitute he fell in love with, like he still loved her. So yeah, there's a lot of dudes in there behind females, but James Carpenter, salute Jay. Been watching your show for years now. Make sure to thumbs up every video. Quick question: what is the story on Lil Boa? I don't know. He went back after I had him on. He went back. He did another bid. Came home again, and I don't know if he's locked up, but the last I heard, he was in trouble. So if he's not locked up, he will be locked up soon. Jay, what's your least favorite color? I don't know. I can't say green because I love money. I like blue and red, gray, black, white, probably brown. No, I don't think anybody just owns a whole bunch of brown shit. Marius, how is your brother doing? I don't know. We haven't spoke since 2022. Last time we talked. Yo, Jay, did you keep the house? I did. I did. It was not easy to do, but we did it. You got to think about it. My average electric bill in our house is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, right? Big ass house. Um, and we have kids running around. We have lighting that's down by the pool, lighting that's down around the lake. We have lighting going up the driveway. We have lighting going up the sidewalk in front of the house, right? Lighting out back. I'm out back now. And this is just the lighting. I can change all this. These are Philips lights, so I can change every light out here to a different color. I just have it on white because we're doing this, right? Two of the other ones are currently on red. So the average electric bill at my house on a a normal month is 6+ just for the electric. Then you've got everything else that comes with it. So the bills, our average bills are just bills. I'm not talking luxuries, gas. I'm talking about just bills. This being cell phones, different apps I have for editing, software services, the electric, all these just different bills. Our average bills come to about anywhere between 7 to 8 grand a month. I would say now it's at about 8 grand a month. I have my kids' school. Both my children go to private school, so I got to pay for that too. Cars, car insurances, all that shit adds up. But yeah, by the grace of God, man, we was able to keep the house. Some things had to go, but that's my fault. No, that's my fault. But I'm also one of those people, easy come, easy go. Like, I've got the Cadillac, and I was talking to Adam earlier. I'm looking at this Land Rover um, that I want. I don't need it, but I want it. I work hard, play hard. But yeah, we were able to keep the house, man. We live in a beautiful house. But unfortunately, there's so many weird ass people out there that you can't just, on YouTube, you can't just show where you live. Because there's some weird ass, it's not a fear thing. It's a don't make me hurt your ass for coming here with my kids on type thing. Don't make me go back to prison because you showed up at my house on some weird shit and my kids are in there type thing. So you can't even really show off the things you have on YouTube because of people like that. Or people, oh, you're trying to show, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that. You should be proud of your accomplishments. You should be, your ass will sit up in a trap house and take pictures and it's okay. But if you take pictures in front of something nice, then it's you're trying to show off. Like, it's a crab in the bucket mentality. You still have the Hummer? No, I sold the Hummer. Hell no. Mortgage was due. Hey, we got the mortgage, we got this. Just my lawyer. My lawyer alone is 5 figures. And that has to be paid up front. Ain't nobody talking about you about to owe me that amount of money. No, you people got to pay me. Between that bond and everything that took place in between, and I let the construction company go when everything popped off. That ended August 2023. That was done. So immediately, just what the lawyer took was crazy amounts of money. And you heard what I said, it's $7,000 to $8,000 a month. That in a year is $100,000. And now I'm gone for a while, and these bills are still coming in. And I had the IRS on my back at the time, which I've got all that straight now. The IRS that was taking 100% of everything. So, fuck that Hummer. I'm gonna do it. No. If it's got to go, it's got to go. I got it. I'll get it again. It's not a big deal. That shit like that, stuff like that only matters to people that really can't acquire those type of things. And I say that to say this. I did well way before y'all ever knew who I was on YouTube. To the people that know me, they will tell you Jay was doing his thing way before YouTube. Jay had money way before he ever came to YouTube. That's 100% a fact. But when at the moment that I turned on, I remember what I was driving, the cars I had when I did my first YouTube video. We had the Mercedes SUV sitting in the yard, the BMW 528i sitting in the yard. Like, we had all these different things. I just bought a new quad runner. Like, we had all this stuff. We had a nice life. But then when I got into YouTube, it really it turned up. But with living a better life, I started to see the hate also. How you could tell when somebody sees you do something and they're generally happy, and then you could see somebody, you can smell the venom on somebody's breath, and you can see it in their eyes when they see you've done something and they're not really happy for you. I started to see a lot of that. I lost a lot of friends, a lot of loved ones, a lot of people I cared about behind money. And not behind not sharing money, because God knows I gave out way more than probably definitely gave out more than I spent on myself. And in the moment that you have to pretty much tell somebody, like, look, I can't take care of you. You know what I mean? I've been doing this for a while now. How are you not on your feet? And the moment that you do something like that, people want stuff, but they don't want you to say nothing to them about it. They just want you to like secret ninja and hand them the money and never mention it again. That's not how things work. Like, I might ask you, yo, I've helped you time and time again. Why is your life not getting no better? If I gave you your money for your driver's license, why did you just get a driving on suspended? I bought you a car. What do you mean I have to put tires on it? That car was $15,000. Like, you what? And the moment you start just the simplest things, it turns people against you. But like I said, the whole point in saying that was, it's easy come, easy go. It's not. No, it's not the easiest thing in the world to go buy a new car. And I know people, you have to work and save up, but you can, if that's what you want to do, you're gonna do it. For me, it was the lack of, right? The lack of. I know what it is not to have things. I know what it is to want things. I know what it is to go without. And that was all out of my control. I was younger. I was younger, so I'm in somebody else's care as a kid, as a teenager. I have to depend on other people to take care of me. So the nicer things I want, this, that, if we ain't got it, you have to understand your parents are doing the best they can. My mom was doing everything she could. I could never be mad at her. She kept a roof over our head. She kept us fed. So what if we didn't have all the Nikes that other kids had? That was not priority. As a parent, her job was to make sure that my ass was safe, taken care of, and fed. If she couldn't afford it, she couldn't afford it. How am I going to get mad? But as I got older and I got into a position where I started to understand money more and how to get money and how, the different ways to get money, I made it my thing to make sure I had nicer things. But I can never fault her. She did the best she could with 4 kids. I can never pay her back. I pay her back by doing this, by being the best version of me I can be. I think our job as parents is to raise good people. It's just to raise up good human beings. And I think a lot of parents feel like they failed. Well, I want my mom to know before her days that she didn't fail. I failed. I was given everything I needed to be a good man. I chose the dark side. This cat is ready to go in the house. Yeah, I hear you. Like, for the most part, as parents, we're just not supposed to we're not supposed to raise piece of shit people. And the biggest thing is if you went through it, you fucking went through it in life. How did you not learn from it? Come on. How did you not learn from it? Like, going through something traumatic would make you think that you would never do that to another human being because it was done to you. Well, we seen things as kids that's movie worthy. I seen things in my household that nightmares are made of. I told you, to this day, I ain't never feared nobody in my life as much as I used to fear my old man. And one day I overcame that fear. I remember shit had gotten real bad, and I don't have a problem talking about this because people need to hear shit like this. My pops was a violent man, put them hands on you, and I'm not talking about in a good way, like in a way you're supposed to discipline your child. I'm talking about you will catch one of these, right? I remember when I got to the point to where I was just like, you can't beat me. For the longest time now, I feel like I've been letting you put your hands on me. I'm not a little kid no more. I'm like 16, 17 at this point. I don't feel like you can beat me. I'm just being real with it. I don't care what your mouth says, what your actions say. I don't feel like you can beat me. And I started to really stand up against this man that thought it was okay to take his anger and issues out on children, right? And shit changed. We went from whatever that was to kind of being ops. Went long after that, he died. But you know what I learned? And growing up in a fucked whole, I mean, just a whole entire fucked up household with a fucked up human being leading everybody, that being my dad, he taught me everything not to do as a father. Everything not to do. And I mold my entire parenting and who I am as a dad around that. He was a great example of what not to do. Were you born and raised in Virginia? No. No. I think I was born here. I was born in MCV, and my dad was a nut. He was hunting my mom. Sorry, mom, if I wasn't supposed to say that. But she was like trying to get away from him. So she left this state and went to North Carolina to like get away from him. And he ended up tracking her down. And the laws were a lot different in 1980 than they are in 2025. Like, men got away with a lot more. She was scared, and she ended up staying with him for another 17 years, having three more kids. But no, I moved from here shortly after I was born. My mom moved. She ran, should I say? And we went to Charlotte. And from Charlotte back to Virginia, we moved to Richmond, like to Richmond, right over beside Southside Plaza, if you know where that's at, off Hall Street. So we lived in Southside for a while. That's pretty much from there. I grew up around there, Walmsley, Ampere, throughout different areas. And then when I got into my teen years, I really started going to other places, like living in other places. Lived in Philly, lived in Illinois. Like, I've been around. What happened with Woody? Woody's doing great. And Woody breaks the stigma of guys that have been locked up. You got to think. If y'all know who Woody is, Woody was my cellmate. He's also on YouTube, A New Life with Woody. You can go check him out. Amazing person. I hated being in the cell with him at times because he's so hyper. I'm really laid back. I'm calm. Woody's just, he's go, go, go. He's football. 365 days a year, he's talking football. And he's hype. He's animated. Love him to death, though, right? But Woody did 25, man, on a homicide, right? One of those situations where it was just shit got real between him and another dude, and he was able to overtake the other dude, right? Rest in peace to that man. And a bad night results in somebody losing their life during a fight. But Woody came home, and Woody hasn't been out. I think Woody's been out going on 3 years now. Woody bought a house. The house is in the midst of being remodeled right now. Like, there was workers there today. I talked to Woody about it, and Woody is now, for the troubled teens and stuff out where he lives at. He's the assistant head coach and the defensive coordinator for the football team. As I'm talking to him, he's going to a football game today with these kids that he mentors. So shout out to Woody, man. He's doing awesome. It's called A New Life with Woody. Digital smoke, you got fam in New Mexico? Yes. In Los Lunas, Los Cruces, Albuquerque. I do. All on my wife's side, it's crazy you said that because I've been talking about moving. I've been talking about moving for the longest now. And that's where I want to go. My wife is born and raised in New Mexico. She does not want to go back to New Mexico. She's like, there ain't shit in New Mexico. She's like, the gangs are so heavy in Albuquerque. You want to stay away from there. So if we did go move to New Mexico, we're looking at Los Lunas, Los Cruces. I want to go. Every time I've been out there, it's the enchanted land. That's what they call it. I love New Mexico. I love Cali, New Mexico, um, Arizona, all those little surrounding states. I love them. I just like. I grew up out here on the East Coast where everything's green. I get to the beach in 2 hours, hour and 45 minutes right now. Out there, it's a different feel. I didn't know that many. I can't say Indians, Native Americans existed anymore, but you see that shit when you get out west. I remember in 2020, I'm driving and I see a whole bunch of motorcycles. Right, it's daylight. It's like 2, 3 o'clock in the evening, coming up on my right, and I'm looking. I'm like, that's a lot of bikes. These are all Indians. Excuse me, Native Americans riding these old school motorcycles with no helmet, with long black hair blowing in the wind. I can't tell you the last time I seen two Native Americans hanging out together over here on the East Coast, much less riding in a pack of motorcycles. But that shit was common. I'd seen that. The culture, the heritage, just I love everything about it out there. So if we don't end up in New Mexico, we've been looking at like San Diego, areas like that. So it's right now it's a toss up between New Mexico and Cali. I would much rather be in New Mexico. My wife says it's boring. I say boring is good. We're raising kids. You want shit to be boring. She's like, all there is sports. Great, great. Like I've lived that life. I'm good. I want a boring life. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen in the next 12 to 18 months. So. Los Lunas been building some dope houses and growing like crazy. Man, I love it that you're out there. I remember the last time I was out there, you can see the high school shit up on the hill from the side of the mountain where it's got the Los Lunas and the year and all that. I love it. The only thing I didn't like about New Mexico was the tumbleweeds. I thought that shit was just some shit out of a cartoon. Tell me why I'm at the little car wash washing one of them tumbleweeds wrapped around my leg. That shit is a ball of briars, like cactus briars, not even regular briars, just the shitty kind. One of the things I didn't like. And the big ass spiders y'all got. Y'all got spiders out there that could eat any bug we could kill off an entire species of bugs we got. Jay Lennox, say salute, man. He said full native here. Shawnee, Seminole, OKC, checking in. Big salute to you, man. Where'd you live in? I lived in Illinois, uh, Danville, Champaign, Urbana area. If you know anything about Danville, Danville was jumping. And we lived off Oak Street. And the gang activity around there, that was like shit I'd never seen before. Stanford Higgins, hey, big salute, said thanks for the content. I'd never seen the gangs like I seen in Illinois. Like even just getting off from the time I got off the train, shit was real. I'm walking down the street. Back then, we had the player shirts and the player hoodies and hats, and I got them all yellow, and I got my bags, and I'm walking, and I'm in Chicago. That's where the train station was, and then from there, I had a layover before it took me to Champaign, Urbana. So I'm just walking around Chicago with these bags with all this yellow on, and let's just say that shit did not have a good ending. The only good thing back then is they didn't check your luggage when you was getting on. It's before 9/11, so they didn't check your bags and stuff, so you could travel with it. So the only thing that really saved me in Chicago was I was able to travel with it. But once we got to Danville, we living off Oak Street. Like all my cousins out there, all of them were GD, all of them forked up. That was their thing. Just that was never my thing. Mr. Keith said it's a surprise. What's up, Jay? Was expecting to see you live. My birthday here in 45 minutes. Blessed to see you 29. Mr. Keith, happy birthday, man. A salute. Look, we had the 3 hour and 30-minute mark. 30-minute mark. I got to go. I got to go. It is way past my bedtime. It's gonna be rough getting up. But anyways, these streets, these jails, these prisons, they're all just crazy world outside of all the crazy world we live in. As always, y'all know what I'm doing. Just trying to keep y'all entertained, man. Y'all not entertained? I like anyway, and it's late. Anyways, to all the real ones and all the real ones watching, because you're still watching me, man. Y'all know how we do this. Salute. I'm tired. Don't judge me.